Level ya kwanza, I always say it's your dick, man. I mean, so guys start dictating what you do with your stuff, man. It's like, that's, come on, man, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's mine. So what I do with it is my shit. It's particularly to tell men, because women kind of get it,
Yes.
But men is that the idea that utakuwa tu wima all through your life.
Yes.
Man, it's an illusion, man. Man, life will knock you sideways.
Yeah.
That are very easy to trigger. So the moment this kid started getting abducted, this kid started getting shot, our response to it was like, munafikiri munajua serikali, you've forgotten your place. This is what happens. You thought you're the first ones to do it. We were actually scoffing at them. Striving really close and like, what's up with this guy, man? So kasema wacha nijipatie ka room kidogo. Unajua bike na power. Let me just show this guy what this is about. Kumbe in that split second, ile truck ilikuwa mbele yangu ilikuwa imebreak. Nika panic. Instinct was just to hold the brakes. Yeah, worst thing you can do on a bike.
Ekonene. Episode 536 tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend to tell a friend. And kama umesikiza Ekonene long enough, umesikiaga nikitaja jina Oyunga Pala, nikikwambia vile back in the days tuko tunasikizaga a late night show on Capital. Ile ilishaga tu siku moja tukashtukia Oyunga yuko shinda ujo kuliendaje jo. And of course pia kama ulikuwa nasoma gazeti, mimi ni mtu wa siku za gazeti, kulikuwa na column iko inaitwa Guamantok, ilikuwa on Nation newspaper, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sato.
Yeah, alafu at some point Oyunga kadisappear tu. Then majuzi nikacheki aliendaga majuu, kaenda maside za Netherlands. But yes, Oyunga ni author, ni columnist, na pia kwangu I'd still say media personality, because that's where minlikam kupenda job yako kabisa was through radio, because column ilikuwa kupata gazeti ilikuwa expensive hizo siku. So umekuaje?
Niko sawa.
Yes. Yeah, so I was reading your book, and I want us to talk about it. But before that, I wanted us to go maybe through your career.
Yeah.
And see, and because this is like one of the most powerful books. Like I even did a reaction video, a short one that dropped on Sunday, and I talked about how reading this book while going to a funeral was one of those things where you're like, damn, So this past weekend I was going to the funeral of one of the hosts wa iko Nini, anaitwa DJ Zak. So the dad had been sick for 2 years. So I think one of the things ulisema ni a lot of us huendaga ocha kufa ama kuretire.
Yeah.
So in his situation, that's basically what happened. Like he'd lived in America for a very long time and then came back when he was sick. Akakaa Nairobi kidogo, then went to Ocha and then passed away. Yeah. So we'll talk about strength and sorrow. But yes, I'd have to ask, like, the Mantok column, how did that come up?
Mantok was like accidental.
Yeah.
So it started out as nilikuwa campus, University of Nairobi.
Yes.
Na nilikuwa nafanya kazi kwa gym. Not far from here, by the way. No, actually, the other side. Yeah, not from there.
Yeah.
David Shutliff,
Yeah, okay.
Palo corner. Used to be the gala, used to be called Nautilus Fitness Center.
Oh, okay.
So just my part-time job. And then through that, nikaanza kuandika about fitness.
Yeah.
Nikaenda pale Nation, nikajitetea. There's a guy called Mundia Mshiri. He gave me a column.
Yeah.
So najua hizo days tulikuwa natumia disk. So ukiwa na copy, unaenda kwa cyber, una type, unachukua hiyo 1.4,
Yeah.
unatembea paka Nation, una insert, hopefully there's no virus, unachukua copy, unaenda, So people, unaanza kujua watu ambao kwa desk,
Yes.
because tulikuwa freelancer. So there's a lady then there called Rhoda Orengo, who ended up becoming my editor all that time.
Yes.
She says, Oyunga, write something about rugby. You guys always have you have stories around chicks and stuff, drama. So I just kind of put together an article and I sent it to her, and she liked it. And she just kept on asking for more.
Oh, okay.
So from about 2000, originally tulikuwa 3 writers. There used to be a guy called Tony Mchama unamjua. Smita.
Yes.
Yeah, Smita is famous.
Smitten.
Yeah, and then there was a guy who passed on, used to be called Alan Kopar. Always credit him because, foundations are important. Huh? And then after that, basically nika column, and then it just started slowly by slowly, you know? 2 years, 3 years, a bit like what you're doing now. Huh?
Yes.
Is year after year after year. Before I knew it, it was 10 years, man. Yeah, 2000 to 2010.
Oh, you wrote that? It ran for 10 years, eh?
10 years. Started from about 2000, early 2000, and I was writing until 2010 July. Yeah.
Okay. And then how do you end up on radio, like on Capital?
Radio, it was a guy called David Ohingo. David, I think he's late now, man. Nice guy, you know?
Yeah.
And David kind of just insisted, man, you can do radio, you know? And he just kept on insisting. And then one day he literally set everything up, and just told me, come. So I came on Capital. Those days used to be in Laundry House, in Tao. And it was run by a guy, the programs manager is a guy called Phil Matthews.
Phil, yes.
I know Phil is basically like the godfather of radio.
Yes.
Yeah, because FM radio in Alianzisha Kenya. So Phil, of course, has no idea who I am. You know, what's the big deal with this guy?
Yeah.
They put me on the late night show. I remember 2 shows he supervised. So you go kwa desk.
Yeah.
And anakuangalia kama utapata hizo links. Yeah. So I end up passing that kind of interview test. And then I'm on. And I start, at the time, the late night show was a place where they used to have a capital competition for presenters.
Yes.
And my co-host was a young lady called Alison Gubuini. So we did with Alison for a bit. I think then Alison fell off. I can't remember what the reason was. And then Janet Mbugua came also on for a bit. She interned on that show. And then after a while, I just kind of inherited the show. And then it was just my show, you know. And for some strange reason, they gave me a free license, you know. So I had creative license. So I was doing something I'd never been done before. Because, you know, I remember Late Light used to be a place here, a baritone.
Yeah.
You know, late date, you know, dedicating a song, blues. You know, you have to have a deep voice and you have to be, you know, left dedication. You know, that's what it was about. So I started this show where I would invite guests. Now I think about it, I was actually doing podcasting back in the day. Because I was random guests, you know, not nobody known. I would bring a mistress. I'd find a lady off the streets. And nipata moja alikuwa jai mganga, you know.
Yeah.
I was bringing crazy guests, and having very so it was a very interactive show. The guys who used to man you'd have a guy who was a producer who used to man the desk.
Yeah.
And then basically calls come in, and you just have a nice show. You have a few links for music, but largely like a talk show.
Yeah, nakumbuka ilikuwaga talk show.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the reasons pia ilifanya show yako ika stand out is you talked about a few taboo subjects.
Yeah.
And one of the taboo subjects ulibonga juu yake ni kunyonga. Sijua kunyonga. So now afterwards, and the fact that you used to have a man talk column, alafu tufikiria juu ya radio show, you used to talk about kunyonga, and according to you it was not what it's... Have you seen how it's talked about right now by...
I have no idea.
In the manosphere.
No.
So in the manosphere, what they say is like, this is the worst thing you can do in your life. It's going to make you lose direction. Kama we ni accountant, utakuwa ukimiss kufanya kazi yako ya accounting, unaenda kufanya vitu zako zingine. But you vile ulikuwa naitumia, I think one of the things ulikuwa naambia watu ni they can use that to fight premature ejaculation, yes? So if you hear that right now it's being touted as the worst thing a man can do, what do you think about that?
That's an interesting... I didn't even thought about it that way. Okay, so there's 2 levels to this conversation. Huh?
Yes.
Level of kwanza, I always say it's your dick, man. I mean, so guys start dictating what you do with your stuff, but it's like, come on, man, dude. Yeah. Like it's mine. So what I do with it is my shit.
Your choice of what? Dictate.
Yeah, you know. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So that's so for me that would be the first disclaimer. You know, like, come on, man. Because a lot of one thing I've learned about life, a lot of when you find out, critics tend to be usually the biggest pretenders.
Yes.
You know, so a guy who's highly critical about something, you know, that's all we know about. I mean, look at the religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The most critical people tend to be, you know, like double standards. There's that level. So yes, there's some truth to the fact, if you over masturbate and, you know, and all of that, you know, just basically become, you know, you're losing energy, basically, you know what I mean? You're losing steam.
Yeah.
But there's a certain age in life, you know, a young man, you know, you're sparking, you know, before you get a sense of really how to kind of manage your sexual energy. masturbation to sometimes is actually quite healthy.
Yeah.
You know, it avails you doing some stupid things, you know. There's some things you could have done that were really stupid, you know. But, you know, like lock yourself in a room and just calm down, you know. And so, and basically, before you actually even understand pleasure, you've got to understand self-pleasure.
Yes.
Before you can actually, because you've got to learn your body. So if you're still that kind of man who still expects, you know, pleasure to be handled by somebody else, you're going to be in problems. So that was kind of my approach.
Yeah.
I think, but there's a distinction. The second part of the conversation is this. In our days, there was no porn like there's porn today.
Okay.
You know? Nowadays, Playboy magazine was about as risky as it would get, you know? And what was Playboy? Playboy now is what is called softcore. You know? It was like the middle pages parlay, and what is it? Just a woman basically naked. That's about it. Yeah?
And then you use your imagination.
Yeah, that's it, you know? So, but now I guess in a kind of a porn universe, I can see, and so it's almost like we blame the wrong person. Like so the serial masturbator is the victim. He's not different from an addict. It's like, so blaming an addict for alcohol. You know, so you're dealing with the guys who are actually causing the addiction. That's why the problem is. That's why sometimes it becomes kind of a mute, what do you call it? A mute protest, huh?
Yes.
Because you have to literally go back and tell guys like, okay, you've got to understand the universe, you know, because a guy gets sucked in.
Yeah.
And if a guy's first introduction, unfortunately these days, most of these young men, their first introduction to basical intimacy is through the screen.
Yeah.
And that's all they know. So by the time they actually meet a girl, they're playing off that reality off the screen. And that's the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Because I think I've seen, I don't know if you've heard of some guy called Amerix.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
So Amerix is the new, I think people call him a masculinity coach. And when he talks about it, it's like, it's this thing that if a man does, then his whole life is gone. And that's what, so sometimes when I'm hitting back, musema like, Evo, the same thing you've said, like it's the deki yako, fanya na ikili unataka kufanya nayo. Alafu as long as you're not addicted, because what would you classify as addiction?
Addiction is when you have no control.
Yeah.
You know, compulsion. You know, you literally have no control. You can't control yourself, you know, like you wake up, you just, you know, that's an addiction.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it like you're self-pleasuring, no, self-pleasuring is actually highly recommended. You know, highly recommended. Saves a lot of problems, actually, you know.
Yeah.
So, the thing is that people just, they need, okay, and I can understand where it's coming from, you know, because kuna slippery slope. You know, everybody, it's like a social drinker who just basically slips, you know, before you know it, you know, it used to be an evening drink. Before you know it, you have to knock it as the first thing in the morning before you face anybody, you know, all I say, you know. And so those guys like that, before they're just tense, they have to like wachilia before they can do anything. But so you've got to understand the universe you're operating within and what kind of your addiction triggers are. But for the most part, I can almost tell you, I don't even need any evidence. Yeah, the average guy is just wank. It's just it's a normal. Yeah.
I love when if you had to do like approximations, what percentage of men do you think do this?
At some point, I think pretty much 90%.
Yeah.
Of how the hell are you going to discover how that thing works?
So kitu funny ni, if you had to talk to people, you'll pretend like place kama Kenya, utafikiria it's one guy out of 10 guys. So I'm always like, you're full of shit.
Yeah, because guys have been shamed for it, you know. I mean, because you know our approach to sexuality is very, to no one. It's like we're bravado.
Yeah.
You know, you're always a guy. I mean, like I remember when we were growing up, you know, what was considered like a guy who was competent in sex was what? Uko kwa room pale unasikia kelele, unasema, hey, mazee, utero. You know, that's what we considered sex. You know, it's performance. And so guys live out that reality. But ultimately, at the core of it is just basically self-discovery.
Yes.
And that's just, it's like a stage in the process. Now, some people get stuck there, unfortunately. But it's a stage. You can't, I mean, telling a teenage boy, like, what's his option? Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because I also, when you talk about, like, that thing of it saves you from doing dumb shit, there's this story that happened. It's a very horrific story. So there was this guy called Kenothia. So he comes from, I think, Embu. And this girl had rejected him. And he went till Eldoret and akaua, like unalived the girl. And I remember like when we were talking about this, we were talking with my, the guy was telling about DJ Zak. And I said that umse angefika palika Nakuru, alafu anyonge angerudi. Post-nut clarity. He'd have been like, this is not worth it. And he'd have come back. But vile wasana tembea, you walk around with a head full of nuts and then you end up doing nutty stuff huku nje.
It's energy. It's really, I mean, at the core of it is just, it's how to regulate your energy. It takes a while. And like nobody starts competent. You know what I mean? It takes a while. And I don't know, men have to be allowed to make their mistakes, you know, to a certain degree, you know, I mean, within boundaries. But this holier than thou attitude or stoicism, and suddenly we're all just proper and we're just perfect. It's a lot of nonsense, if you ask me. Yeah.
So what do you think about that tagline? Masculinity coach, life coach, those phrases. Like, what do you think about them?
I think imefika point where, I mean, we're kind of like in a branding society, you know, like everybody has to be branded as something. In our day, you know, even this whole people saying, oh, Oyunga used to be a masculinity guy, that came much later.
Yes.
The most I used to know is like my perspective, like a male.
Yes.
That was just about it. But when what do you call it? In a world now where everything has to be kind of labeled, and then also how we look at some of these things, we tend to look at them from a point of crises. You know, so even when we look at mental health, you have to be a coach. You know, everything is approached as a kind of a crisis. So I see its place in the context now, because there's so much happening. People have to differentiate themselves. So I'm okay, you're a writer, but what kind of writer are you? Yeah, this is masculinity. This is what I talk about. So it's for me, I see it more just as a label. You know, but the idea, I guess, that I would challenge is the idea that. I don't know, this one source inspiration is where the problem is, you know, because us guys, how we grew up with a cancel, you know, you picked up your information from a variety of men.
Yes.
But this idea that there's one holy grail, one truth, and these are the 10 rules, that's just confusion.
And it's good, like this is coming from someone who's like older than them, because like for the young guys, I always tell them that according to Mimi, no one has life figured out. We are all tunafanya guesswork in our own way. And also like na feel kama now the manosphere right now treats the woman as an enemy, which to me I find to be super weird. Like so you find time yako, like when we used to read Man Talk na kukusikiza on radio, we never looked at women as enemies, you know, like if a girl rejected you, tenda home to au amenikata, wacha niende nikatie mwingine. Hao wanatichio like amekukataa juu una pesa, mademu anapenda pesa. You understand? It's a very confrontational. And then they grow up somehow hating women. So people will associate that with domestic violence, and you can actually make an argument for it, because if you're teaching this 19, 20, 21 year olds that girls are enemies, of course they'll get, you know.
Yeah, we talk about projection. You know, it's prejudice. Basically, it's the whole thing of prejudice. You know, it says Somali, you know, Wazungu, you know, not as Wazungu, Chinese, just prejudice. You know, like so it's very easy to kind of project.
Yes,
for the validation. I mean, I guess the distinction for us was this: is what I see in the market squeezy. I mean, of course, I was accused of being a chauvinist, women hate and everything. But even the women who read the column understood it.
Yes.
So first of all, it was satire. So you can't take it literally.
Yes.
You know, it's like beating a stand-up comedian down, because you know, like what happens to Dave Chappelle and all, when people take things very literally.
Yes.
You know. So first of all, so there's the idea of the artistry. It's satire. You know, we're talking about taboo subjects, but we're using the art to satirize it. The other thing is that most people didn't understand the universal context in which they're operating in. You know, so they take things very directly. It's a typical crisis of ukabila.
Yeah.
You know, because I can't reach the guy up there, I take it out on my neighbor. You know, and they don't realize that we're being played against each other. So this whole gender game is just basically we're being set up against each other. As Nyahudis especially, I mean, if anybody's honest with themselves, why are you without the women in your life?
Yeah.
You know, like, where are you in life really without that propping? You know, like, in fact, I dare say, you know, some of the best advice you'll get as a man, you know, in terms of just straightening up, will come from women. You know, at least if you have like some straight up aunties or some, you know, some competent sisters, they'll straighten you up in ways that your brothers can't. You know, so I think what happened is that issues got conflated. You know, it's like, you know, and you have to kind of do a historical context. Now, men got disrupted,
Yes.
Anchors got lost. Then what happens when a society is kind of broken? What do, man? We turn on each other.
Yes.
And it's a classic case that has happened in kind of like the manosphere, is that the crisis of, I guess, male evolution. Men are in crisis in terms of like society is structured in such a way that hasn't given them good pathways. And they look around and they see, oh, chicks are just taking off. What happens? It's a projection.
Yeah.
And then it, like all things, it turns into an industry. And before you know it, it's you can't stop it. It's just, it's a perspective. It's there. Yeah.
Okay. And then of course another thing that tunakujua yako ni humor. So there's the humor side. So even the radio show used to have those funny moments. Man Talk as a column used to have funny moments. So how do you think, how important is humor if you come to both writing and also radio?
I think humor is, like, especially in our business, I think it's critical, because humor is one of the best ways to kind of tackle taboo.
Yeah.
If you're because, and then also, so for me it serves two functions. One, it allows you to tackle taboo subjects. For those days, those taboo subjects.
Yes.
You couldn't write about women in that way. Now it's kind of just, I suppose, gone overboard. The second thing is that humor is also entertaining, because like it was hard to read, because papers were too serious. We could discuss anything to do with, I don't know, societal crisis. It's just like academia. It's hard.
Yeah.
So you learn how to kind of be humorous, in telling a story. It's ultimately at the core of it is just storytelling. You just tell pole, and it's not even like a deliberate joke. You're not like trying to get a punchline. It's just a way we speak, And so that's why I always fell back on humor as a vehicle. It's a very good delivery system. It's much easier. That's why that's why I respect stand-up comics.
Yes.
Because they can deal with the most delicate of subjects, but when I capture in humor, and it becomes accessible.
Okay. So now let's talk about now the new book. Yes. Strength and Sorrow. So and then it's reflections on the ones we lost. So the first thing I have to start with is the cover. So I remember like my wife looking at the book, and she asked me like, "Who's this?" And I just guessed. I was like, "Has to be his sister."
That's a good guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's AI rendered,
Yeah.
But it's from her original picture when she was much younger. Yeah.
Okay. So like, why did you think? Like, how did you come up with the idea to talk about death? Because I felt like the book explored death and the way we relate to death, and especially the death of loved ones.
Yeah.
So how did this come up? Because
I mean, so the easy answer is just I've suffered loss.
Okay.
So the easy answer, like my dad died when I was like 15, 89, and then my bro died in 2014. My sister died in 2022, and in between, kadha.
Yes.
Kadha. Many people have died. And the thing is that because since I lost my dad really young.
Yes.
I guess not too young, but as a teenager, at a very important time in my life, is nikakuwa na death awareness. So mtu akisema na matanga, the way I understand it is very different from somebody who has not lost a loved one.
Yes.
Yeah. So by the time I was getting into my 20s, I was already involved in funeral committees.
Yeah. Okay.
And after a while, you become quite good. Unakuwa reliable. People keep on coming back to you. Maze, Oyunga, maze kuna funeral, maze, nyakina nye maze ndio mtaanza kwa committee. So I became quite good at it. And then somewhere in the Nation days, when I was doing the column, in fact, the guy who triggered it was Wahome. When Wahome Mtai died, Whispers.
Yeah. Okay.
I started doing obituaries. But it's in a sense of like, this guy is so great, this guy is so important, he's the reason we are columnists. I have to say how he affected me. Then slowly by slowly, kanza kuandika obituaries all through. So at the time then, before this book started, this wasn't even the original idea. The original idea was the men we lost. So the idea was that I wanted to kind of capture all the heroes. Na ilianza na story ya Benja. Nakumbuka Benjamin Aimba, the rugby guy.
Yes, the rugby guy. Yes.
Yeah, Benja died.
You even wrote about him. Yes.
Yeah, in quite an undignified way. I'm like, okay, let me line up all these heroes. There's something happening in the art scene here, Omumta alikufa kijinga sana. You saw what, like badly. I look at Ojuang, Det, Nini, So I'm looking at all these kind of major like cultural figures I grew up with. They're just dying, and people only pay attention when these guys have died. So I started by just critiquing.
Yes.
Just saying like, oh, okay. I mean, people say, especially those of us in the arts, you're big, umekuwa celebrated, you've done all this stuff. And then somewhere una disappear, and then you die, and everybody's so sad. We need to do this, and rinse and repeat. So I was trying to do a book that said, what are the lessons that I can extract from the men we have lost? Then my sister dies.
Okay.
And my sister dies in Uganda, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, you know what? I know what to do, like I do the usual things, stoic. Nenda pale mazuna jipanga, arrange the funeral. Then yake ilikuwa a little bit more complicated, ilikuwa nataka cremation.
Yes.
So do the cremation, across the border, Busia, unakuja Ocha, leave the ashes there, rush to Nairobi, unafanya the funeral process. So I did the whole kind of, the whole full shebang, how we do funerals. And when it finishes, nikarudi maju, Netherlands,
Yes.
But somehow, maze, this is different, maze. I can't seem to recover, maze. Niko sickly, na lose weight, niko off, appetite napotea, Nenda hosi, they're trying to look, nafikiri pengine ni malaria, si pneumonia, si nini. They can't really quite nail what is wrong with me. Turns out, niko na TB. So I'm just wasting away here like for 3 months or so, like literally wasting away. Niona pale maze nimekuwa mkonda jo, wasting away properly. So one day niko kwa forest fulani, niko nafanya ka volunteer work hivi.
So uko ni Netherlands?
Netherlands, mpenda story na miti. So nilikuwa kwa forest pale ufanya once a week, nilikuwa a group of men, and that's my way of trying to learn Dutch.
Yes.
Lugha ingine waza nikaa isua. It's a hard language, man. It's a lot of I think lawyers will survive.
Kiwalalo. Like the first time kienda hiyo area
So I think the best way to learn language is interact, hang around guys. Nikapata group fulani na deal na forest. So tulikuwa once a week tulikuwa naga just job ingine hata describe mazala cheka. Tuna weed forest. Very strange, but anyway, it's not my country. So during that activity, maze nikaanza kutapika damu. And then just like unaimwaga proper, like it's like kama unatapika literally. Walami kama kawaida wanasema maze
Ebola.
Maze jipange jo. Guys that place has been isolated. Me maze quickly kwa gari nikajipeleka kwa hosi. I got in hosi at least cause clearly have samples.
Wenye ndo nilidrive
too.
Oh, okay.
Cause you puke, then it seizes. Yeah, and then you quickly go. But immediately so unakajuala hivi just basically kuja waze force basi unaiwachilia. So literally I walked into the hospital with my own sample, my own blood sample, iko mixed na makamasi na nini. So when they taste it, they say shit.
TB.
Who based on a TB? So I go into isolation for literally 14 days. And all through this time, in the build up to this time, nilikuwa naambia madokta, I said, this thing is connected with my grief. They say, oh, I'm not just one stereotype. Oh, you came from Africa, it must have been. I'm like, yeah, I get it, but it has something to do with my grieving process. Somehow I was not getting out of this grief cycle. So of course I find TB, but you say you're isolated for like 2 weeks, so you have time to think.
So isolation iko wapi? So wezi enda home?
Hosi.
Hosi sasa.
In fact, my wife akapanic. Niko hosi. So isolation, like the first 3 days nobody should come. In fact, there's wale wanaingia tu kwa mlango, shwa wanafungua, nje kuna ile kadiro kama ya nini ya ndege, the circular one. Somebody comes and peeps there. Unaisikia kifunguo because it's a double door, kuna ile ya nje na kule ndani, So I have time to think, and then people una think about mortality, like oh shit, man, like this thing could have just malizaed me like a joke like this, and supposedly one of the most medically advanced countries, yeah 3 months before they discovered that I have such a basic disease, So is when I start to really think about, hey, I'm grieving, I can't seem to get out of this grief cycle, what's going on? So the tool I have ni sikuandika, nikaanza confront. So kwanza confront story ya sister yangu, nikasema to understand my sister I need to go back to my brother.
Yes.
Grieve pro. Ufika kwa bro nasema to understand my brother's story ilibidi sana nishuke kwa Buddha. And that's when I realized even my dad I didn't quite grieve him properly.
Yes.
Like the funny thing is the way I knew I didn't grieve my dad properly was I'd never written about my dad. Like I've been writing for like all these years.
Yes. Yeah.
huwezi pata story about my father. Inaweza kuwa ka sample. I think the only time I talked about my father ilikuwa speech ya engage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, never. So when I go back, I start looking about the funeral process. Nikagundua, okay, this is why it started. This is why I learned this habit here. Come strong.
Yeah.
You know, like just hold it back. You know, men don't cry. You know, and for the first time now, I was learning how to grieve. So nilipomaliza hiyo process yangu ya kugrieve, nikasema, as an artist, what do? You share your insights. So nika change the whole structure of the book. So I decided, okay, I'm going to use my family as the lens to understand what's happened in the country, you know? And that's how I structured the book. So my family, country, and then meditations. Yeah.
Okay. Because and when it comes to your father, like one of the things that I loved about how you wrote about him was I saw a few similarities with my situation but your father died when you were 15.
Yeah.
Mine died when I was 16. And you talked about not crying till mfike ocha when the body was being taken.
Yeah.
And that's the first time you cried. And for my situation it was the same. So nimekuja nikachukuliwa seko nikambwa budako amededi, the funeral is still being arranged. Yeah. So Jakani, you know the way the funeral takes a long time.
Yeah.
So nikambwa we rudi tu chuo. So all this time I didn't cry. And then asubuhi, so now we had to travel with the body. So tumetravel na body usiku tukafika sasa Nyakach. So tukifika Nyakach, at some point tukafika kwa the main stage ya kuingia ocha kwetu, and some women entered the bus, hiyo the matri, ilikuwa matri, and they just started wailing, and my mother joined them. And I'm looking at my mom and like tears are just falling off, and that's the first time that nililia. So when I heard you talking about the same thing, I was like, damn, the human experience, it's so interesting that I think as men tunambwaga kuwa strong.
Yeah.
So we don't cry and we don't, so such things happen. So there was the situation whereby then after you buried your dad, a few weeks later your grandma sindio? Mimi ilikuwa after to bury Buddha, a few weeks later sister. So it was very similar. And so there was that. Like I found the book to be very sad and also very funny. And the funny side was with your big brother story and his Indian experience. I don't know how ukiandika wewe mwenyewe ulikuwa unacheka, because I remember I'm reading the book and I'm laughing, and then it gets super sad baadaye, and I think that's that life experience.
Yeah, balance of life,
Yeah. So ukiandika wewe mwenyewe, did you know that this is really funny, hizi stories zake za India?
You don't think of it as funny, you know. I mean, it's ukidescribe, I can see the funny parts,
Yes.
Because I think ni story unaijua, so ushaisikia many times, so you kind of get the humor. Kupata watu context, Brango mkubwa alienda India, alipelekwa India 1978.
Yes.
Alipelekwa India kwa 18. So alikuwa junior kabisa. Lakini alikuwa jamaa alikuwa anapenda martial arts.
Yes.
Walianza na Shotokan. Orako ya kitambo, karatekas. So and then India akachukua boxing, you know, so he became a boxer. And so the context of the story is that he became like a player coach, you know what I mean? So he's a student, but at the same time ana coach watu. And then alikuwa na train a couple of Indians guys, you know, sparring partners. Then one of the guys that akasema nyewe, we need to do like a proper championship, because huyu jamaa amekuwa champion lakini haja kupata proper challenger. So akasema bro wangu akasema this is the only guy I've seen who can box. So let's do a proper championship. And it was actually a district championship. And so huyu jamaa ni champion, you know, champion. And my bro is like a small hard guy, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like Collins Injera, that kind of physique, si mkubwa sana lakini msod, hard, dry. So wameingia ring. By the way, the guy who's he's like his ringman is my other brother. Kulikuwa na brother wangu mdogo alikuwa prof. Prof pia alipelekwa India. Yeah, it's the other brother.
Yes.
So prof of course is a pragmatic one. He's a clear. Anasema hapo brand as die. Jupala wa India wako maze Kalabuth and who ujifala Kalabuth, kill the black devil. Kill the black devil. So jamaa anaingia ring, wanaanza kupiga dondi, wanaanza kufight. This guy, because akona performance pressure, everybody's like knock the guy out, because that's what guys want, knock the guy out. So he starts to swing a lot. And he's basically wasting energy, and he's a slightly bigger guy. So my brother realizes, this guy, I'm just going to tie him out. So akampeleka 2 rounds just kumtie out. The third round, second round au jamaa akaanza kuinsist mazo wanataka hiyo knockout. The guy does a swing and he lands just a perfect punch. Solar plexus. Unajua hiyo solar plexus, huh?
Yeah.
And you drop like a log. Boom. And that's when now his life changed. Because this guy dropped. And then from then on, guys just respected him. You know? So that's what kind of changed his trajectory in India.
Yes.
And so the reason I found my bro, his story is so important to me. Juu alikuwa big bro, the age difference alikuwa kama, let's say God, like about, let's say, let me calculate. 11 years.
Oh, okay.
11 years age difference.
Yeah. So when it comes
so to my second last one. Family, I like to say family are 7. That's another interesting story. I've always said we were 6.
Yes.
But like no bro, alikuwa na twin.
Yeah.
Ambaye alikuwa find infancy at 6 months. Funny enough, we never counted him. It's not until I started writing this book, then nikaanza kuuliza mother, why we always calling ourselves, why is that guy being counted? We didn't even know his name. I didn't even know his name. Until the writers in this book, nikasema, Gordon Ochieng. So I'm like, no, I have to mourn Gordon Ochieng too, because he's my brother. Just because I didn't meet him doesn't negate his presence. So as I was growing up then, Oti, my bro, was fierce. In fact, alipokuwa catch Kakamega High. Yeah. Walakamwita keep left Otieno. These are my boys, you can't walk on his right side.
Yeah. Oh.
So you have to walk on his left side. So he was just a hard guy. He had fearless. So when so just generally anywhere you went, you're never scared. Uko na Oti. In fact, alikuwa na reputation ambayo alikuwa na precede. You only had to say mini bro Oti. That's it. And nobody screwed with you. And then akaingia police reservist. Sa jamaa na chuma. And he's got skills and he's got fighting skills.
Yeah.
You know, so he's narco crime division. So in Kisumu akapata reputation ingine, I was living life like, you know what it means to be like undercover of a big brother. And I watched this man come from a position of strength. We're talking about like decades, you know, paka nikaingia kampo. And then as he starts to get sick, I'm watching this man, the guy that I knew was the strongest man, become weak. Yeah, akakuwa na one incident, you know, where he was almost shot and he almost died. He should have died actually. Yeah. For some miracle, like, survive. But he never quite was the same after that, you know. And so this is me trying to grapple with, like, that's why my whole definition of strength can change. Like, so what really is strength? Because the strength ni belief that maze where's the crack. But nikaanza gundua maze real strength ni basically ni repair, recovery. That's where the strength is, you know. And what I'm trying to do in this book is to it's particularly tell men, you know, because women kind of get it, you know. Yes. But men is that the idea that utakuwa tu wima all through your life. Yes. It's an illusion, man. Man, life will knock you sideways, you know, and you've got to figure out how to recover. So the real game is your recovery process. Like, how do you take your hits and build again? How do you get broken? Because a lot of the brokenness has got nothing to do with you. Yes. And come on, keep around you. Come on, story yako maze. At 16. Yes. I mean, what fault of that was yours? And so the real celebration, kama tuko saizi, if we look at you, the real celebration is that you recover and you became this man that you are right now. Yes. You know, and that for me, the essence of strength. Yeah.
Alafu kusa nini, vile nikuwa nakwambia, like, niko na draw so many similarities. Because now in my situation, I lost 2 sisters who I never met. Because they passed away before I was born. So, I never asked my mom about them till this year. Last year. So last year nimeenda Ocha and I just asked my mom, like, yes, I lost these 2 sisters and I know they died young, but at what age? Kaniambia like moja alidai a few months after birth, hakuniambia how many months. Alafu because they were twin sisters. Nikuwa na-expect that since who alidai hivi walidai maybe around the same time. Kama no, the other one lived till 9 but she had sickle cell. So at that point I never knew that in our family anyone had ever gotten sickle cell. Yeah. Nacheki. So hiyo time ndule sasa ile ujaka inakam niko like natoka ujakani, so sickle cell might be, you know, it's one of those. But yes, I think with sisi, I don't know if it's a Luo thing ama kituka hiyo, but especially when people die young, it's like we don't, tukiongea hata juu ya siblings, we don't classify them, yes. So kutoka hiyo time ndo nikaanza kusema that my mom gave birth to 8 kids because for a very long time I used to say Madhe gave birth to 6 kids. 6 kids. Yeah. So those 2 never used to count. Alafu there was this very interesting Nini that I saw you wrote. Niko sure Mr. Isoma vizuri. but sijui neza soma this sentence. I found it to be super interesting. I've been to funeral ceremonies.
Okay. I've been to funeral ceremonies where men and women had become invisible to their families and had to die before they could be loved again.
I found that I need to be so...
Yeah, I mean...
we mwenye okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fact. I mean, just look at the average... I mean, okay, how I started noticing, I was very lucky in a way. I'm lucky, it's a strange way to call it. But nilishiwacha for a long time. Juu first of all, Buddha alikuwa silikuwa holidays maze chap inafungwa tu hivi next day. Road trip naenda watcha until then the day before. Ilikuwa tu bo deadly, lakini after a while you just kind of get used to it.
Yes.
So inabidi una choice, you know, like kwa watcha every holidays, you know, from literally April, August, December. So over the years so I grew up with guys in Ocha. Watu wananijua, unaona. So I'm not an outsider.
Yes.
So then somewhere in high school after my dad dies, mother anafanya job LD. Ikifika holidays hiyo inabidi akae job, sami ndio ninabaki Ocha. Ikifika holidays sami ndio niko Ocha. So nika na run home. So I'm around 16 hivi. So what happens is that, so what about when I die? So is na hiyo awareness.
Yes.
So naanza kuitisha kwa my funeral. Jo una do, what do you do? Unajipeleka pale kileba, you know, like at least I'm fit. Nazafanya kazi, tuko na tomito kidogo na ma firewood. But the thing that I could really provide was labor.
Yes.
Na kazi ya naume ni nini? Kuchimba kaburi. I became quite I became quite a good grave digger, by the way. Grave digging, it's a what do you call it? Those days, because it may change, because what on a day during the day. But those days, what you do, you only dug when the body arrived on the night.
Yes.
On the night before, you know what I mean? And you have to kind of dig into the night, and then unaleta job kama saa 9 hivi, and then the next morning, you know. Na ilikuwa kazi kama inawachelewa walevi.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the only way guys would drink. So you have to bring some, you know, some pelele kidogo pale, you know, changamsha watu ndio wafanye hiyo job. Now we used to be the sober ones. You know? So sindio tunahakikisha job itaisha. What happens is guys get too drunk, they can't finish the job. So I became quite good at digging graves. Now the graves, it's long hours. Mnaanza kituka, you know, 8 paka 3, you know, depending on ground vile na kama kuna mawe it can take longer.
Nani watu wangapi mnaidig?
Hatuko wengi, lakini the guys who actually doing the work, very few.
Wale ngine wamekuja tu hapo.
Yeah, na story. So hizo story nikaanza kusikia stories za watu sasa, you know. So as an anthropologist, as a writer, naanza kusikia stories za watu. And consistently, a guy who was useless, a guy who was dismissed, but only when he's dead, suddenly nika tunamgundua tena. Like, kumbe mazee mwafa alikuwa hivi. And I started saying this consistently.
Yes.
And for a long time, I used to hate funerals because of that, because I used to find it very pretentious. I'm like, this guy has been suffering, especially za uchungu sana the sickness. You know, somebody has been sickly, nini, anakufa hivi, suddenly maze kuna do, anapatiwa suti, watu wana insist na ma protocols, nini, and I'm like, why are you loving this guy now and all through his life, but nobody even approached him?
Yes.
So that was me critiquing society, that, and especially for men, that I'd seen so many broken men in my lives, and then suddenly unapata hata my siblings ambao wako wanashughulika na yeye.
Yes.
Everybody now remembers, but this guy actually was not a bad guy, you know. Everybody now is understanding his brokenness, you know. And everybody started, and the loss is very deep. But at the time, as a new loser, you know, straighten your life, you know, be a man. But suddenly he dies. We have a deep understanding heart. So this pretense nilikuwa najaribu kucritic.
Yeah. Okay. Because I found that to be like a very interesting, mpaka I had to nilibaki nimeandika chini.
Oh, nice.
And also when you were talking about your brother, like one of the things that you talked about was as much as at least the way I understood it was he'd been strong all his life, that even when he was facing death he couldn't talk about it. Understand? So I don't remember the words that he used, but uko nasema like you're trying to put across, like how do you talk to someone about something that they themselves are not ready to talk about.
Because see, my bro had HIV, and we never talked about HIV in those days.
Yes.
You know, we like, even now sometimes I catch myself going like, hey, did I just say it? You know what I mean? That's how deep the shame was. And the shame to inherit too, you know, we don't even know where it came from, you know. But you got to remember in the 80s, God, I don't think there's a family in Nyanza that wasn't affected.
Yeah.
You know, like it was pretty much pandemic. Pandemic.
Yeah.
We lived through it, and for a long time. You know, like we're talking about a decade. Yeah, and that's why this why I became so aware of death. Kwa ocha literally kila weekend mazai kuna mwili na kam. So during this time, you know, anaanza kuwaste away, and I think we've got ARVs now, and of course it first took him a long time to admit that hey mazai kuna problem, because yes. And you can't tell OT at way ni OT Joe, you know, you don't just go there and tell a guy like that today. No, you might get corrected. So so when he finally went on the regimen, and it's funny, not that we are generally as Miros, we are super optimistic.
Yes.
You know, utakonka ikitu maombi, not just, you know, there's always like a strategy that will make you better. You know, so we're living clearly in denial. Like it's impossible that this guy could die. You know, it's just no. You know, he's going through it, but he's stoic. You know, at a penya. And of course, you know what's happening now is that because I'm a freelancer, you know, niko in and out Ocha a lot. Alikuwa naishi Kisumu, so we're spending a lot of time together. And because every other weekend, niko down.
Yeah.
Nilikuwa biker, so it's very easy to just. Nachukua bike chap.
Kuna chapa bike?
Nilikuwa na bike, nilikuwa na Tenere.
Najua hivyo, but what I'm asking is kuna tuka Nai mpaka huko?
Yeah, ilikuwa chap, like 4.5 hours, 5.
Okay, because I assumed like ilikuwa una bike tu hapa Nairobi.
No. Ilikuwa adventure sana. Lakini basically Ocha was the main destination.
Yes.
Yeah. So every time una meet, you start having conversations, but amguzi your story at all, you know. Na unajua jamaa naumia, you can tell, you know, as a man you can tell, you know, this guy is hurting, yeah.
Yes.
But so what's the most you can do as a brother, you know? Ni presence too. That's how I learned this idea of presence. You just tunakaa tu, we don't I just show up. I'm just with him, you know. I'm just with him, and so when I write this story. And it's funny, kuna jamaa alinipigia review moja safi sana aitwa Alphonse Shiundu. And Shiundu picked it up. Kuna part nimeandika nasema I don't know. You naweza jab kuguess, I can put all the stories together, but I don't really know what my brother's going through. You know, I really can't say, but you know, the most I can do is just deduce. You know, and this is what I'm grappling with as well, because and it happens to all men. I mean, even me, there's some parts of me, unless you really have, like maybe there are 3 or 2 guys who can reach there.
Yes.
But when I shut down, man, my wife, it's impossible. She can't get through. To a point I can't even explain what's going on. Yeah. And so that's what was happening to my brother. He had shut down to another level that we couldn't. So we knew something was happening, but we didn't know how to crack it. And then, of course, he's a strong man, like you know, spirit-wise. So si mtu anaweza kuwa naumia, lakini he never complained. Hakuna siku mnasema wazee ana wine sio imaze kugonjwa nini, regrets, nothing. So what do you do with that? The most unafanya is what we're doing. Yes. Car 2 side by side and just tulia.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm grappling with, you know, like how do you, so that's the lesson I learned then out of that. Na nilikuwa nasikia besango moja akibonga engage. Anaitwa Paul Murunga, Pablo. And Pablo gives a story of when alipo drop, you know, like maisha limlemea, ilibidi arudi home as a 49-year-old man. Na, you know, ako kwa suitcase, ata ku-unpack suitcase juu, mazaki unpack suitcase ni kama surrender, you know what I mean? And then his younger brother, much younger brother, akaanza kutokea tu mazee once na wewe. Mazee umekunywa chai? Umekunywa chai? Sawa tukunywa chai. Umekula? Tukule. Si leo nipeleke pale. Your presence ilimtoa kwa your depression. Just that presence. So that's what I was attempting to do with my brother, you know? Just presence. But the thing is this, Pablo's at least is a redemptive story. Yes. What's never talked about is how we respond to the failure. Despite our presence, the man still dies. Then what do you deal with that? So unatoka na ile kind of self-doubt and self-blame, and like, maybe I should have done a little bit more. Maybe, but the thing is that you don't know. But now when I look back in hindsight, I can confidently say I did my best. Yeah.
Okay. And then another thing that you covered was the 2017 post-election violence.
Yeah.
And with it, it's interesting because I always look at, of course, where 2024 you kupata Kenya, when the Gen Z protests were happening.
haikunipata Kenya.
So wacha maybe tuanze na hiyo. What did you think ukiwa like Netherlands ukiona what was happening in Kenya?
Ilinistua jo. The extent at which it blew.
Yes.
You know, because I don't know these kids, man. I thought I did, I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so the scale ilinistua. I've never seen such a scale. I mean, when I've been monitoring, I've been writing about social commentary for 28 years.
Yes.
So I've seen a lot. So what surprised me was the scale and the organization. And then while it break a lot of walls that ilitushinda. You know, like this, I guess technically it was idea, but this Gen Z generation is just something very different. I have a lot of optimism in this generation.
Yes.
Because they're not bullshitting, man. You know, they know what they want, they're clear about it, and they're putting it out there. They have suffered greatly for daring to speak up.
Yes.
So when I looked at it happening, it looked in a two waves. Now the first wave comes, everybody's happy because they're doing what we've been unable to do. You know, everybody's happy. Then the crackdown starts.
Yes.
What happens was very interesting. And I noticed it happened to my generation. We speak generationally, which is kind of screwed up, but it's what it is. So those of us who grew under Moi, we carry certain traumas, you know, that are very easy to trigger. So the moment these kids started getting abducted, you know, these kids started getting shot, our response to it was like, munafikiri mnajua serikali, you've forgotten your place. You know, this is what happens. You thought you're the first ones to do it. We were actually scoffing at them, as opposed to solidarity.
Yes.
You know, so I realized, and so by the time now wanakuwa co-opted, akina nani, what are those guys called, Kasamuel and everybody else, wanakuwa co-opted and all that stuff. I was actually seeing a kind of a glee. And what was there we go.
Yeah.
What's the difference? We were once there like you, we were felt. It's like this surrender of like, it can't change. So what I liked about the Gen Z protest was its raw honesty, you know, and the daring. Because wamepasua kitu that cannot be returned now, you know, because now there's a whole generation. First of all, they've been radicalized by the violence that they endured.
Yes.
But more importantly, they're telling us that this thing about naishi now, this is not normal. Si tushai normalize that life waga hivi, you know what I mean? Kuna watu maelite wako pale, nilikuwa nasikia show wako na nini na Nchwani. Mtu kana dota ba viatu za Gucci, and that's just the way it is, you know what I mean? You're normal, you know? Na kina majenzi unasema Z. That's why any small thing, hizi memes out. Imagine wameshut a whole government na memes.
Yeah.
I mean, just look, people don't understand how radical that is. Memes. Memes got a president going like, hey, shit. Iko Nini. That's literally memes.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so I like the fact that unasema, this is not normal. Jusi tulianza kui-normalize. Yeah.
Okay, alafu now, as a writer, ukabaki umeonyesha that even like now for someone who didn't know that election violence were Kenya, like kuna a lot of people think about 2007 and then they think about the Gen Z protests, but you talked about 2017, and it was interesting because you made me remember someone who had forgotten about Stephanie Mora.
Yeah.
And
Baby Pendo was the same time.
Yes, because Baby Pendo, I talk about her. I always tell people that this thing, especially when it comes to government violence, it's a systemic thing. It's not an individual thing. It's not Ruto who's the problem. It's the whole system. You, after having written about 2017, unafilaje? Because at this time, akina Baby Pendo akikufa, that was Uhuru at the helm.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about it? Why do you think especially the violence from the government, why do you think that happens?
I mean, it's in our history. It's just in our culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, we're basically, at the very best, it's a rungu democracy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? The police, that's why we call it the police service, but actually it's just a police force, you know? The thing is that we organize in such a way that basically we protect the elites and everybody else is the masses, you know? And when the masses fall out of line, just kill, threaten, you know, violence. Violence is just basically the language of leadership.
Yes.
Now, 27 is interesting for me. The reason I put it there was because it was eye-opening for me. So 2017 ikifanyika, because not technically, you know, for most people, I remember even a friend saying, post-election violence 2017, kwani si tunajua post-election violence 207.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And alikuwa ataka niagu lakini kasema wazee I'm beyond that.
Yeah.
That kind of discourse. What happened was this for me. This is why I was forced to like confront it. Na mabeste pale Mathare, MSJC, Mathare Social Justice Center.
Yes.
Kuna waja mmoja alikuwa anaitwa Gasheke na Zangi. Jamaa alikutana nao British Council. They used to have these things of once in a while they'd have like a lecture. Na kapata mlamu fulani alikuwa anatoa a paper.
Yes.
On gang violence and like how why young men join gangs, you know, and the gang is basically it's like your only home now, you know what I mean? Because you have been thrown off by the time uko 6 nika one room, mother na kana besta yako fulani, you've been kicked out, auna mweleko na shule, the only hero you know ni yule gangster, you know. And so you end up joining a gang just basically as a survival reality of where you're living. So this woman had been staying in the slums for a long time, and she had basically in Mathare, and she had basically written a paper on it. So the thing that struck me is yani kuna mlami ananishow stuff for the first time. So that just the embarrassment first, like, hey, how dislocated am I that I'm learning about this from the first, and she was interesting enough, a Dutch lady.
Yes.
Yeah. So our jamaa can invite akina Zangi, akina Gasheke, ukani-invite wasema weka mji walikuwa najua sifa yangu ka writer. So kufika pale si wakaanza kunitembeza. So nikaanza kwenda Mathare pole pole. And then this was just before the election.
Yes.
Election kafanyika, we do what we do. Ajua kila mtu anakuwa kokuni yake.
Yes.
Nikaanza kupata maripoti wanasema mazee pale mazee tunauliwa hapa. So andike story. So andike story mazee atupati coverage, so andike story. So some I can't remember the details, lakini sama nikafika Mathare. Nikaanza kulikuwa besa moja kwa JJ. JJ Kennedy Chindi JJ. Baadaye nitoa Okuchuka. Sana Okuchuka.
Okay.
So nikaanza kutembeza Mathare. Nikaanza kumit my mother. You know, sir JJ anatembeza sana just niko na journalist, Mother ananiambia mazee, what's different? Ananiambia, hey mazee, what's different? I said, what was different about this one was first of all, these were not real policemen. Walikuwa basically mungich in what do you call it? In uniform. And then ilikuwa siege. Na ilikuwa siege mbaya ambao wanaingia kwa nyumba wanatafura maboy.
Okay, unaweza fanya hivyo like so walipatia Mungich is like the government gave Mungiki uniform.
Yeah, I mean, of course I can't prove nothing, but
yes, you can't prove, but yes.
Yeah, but it's one of those. These are not cops.
Yeah,
these are not cops. You know, this basically some guys who are basically posing as cops. And then targeting. So it's worse. You know, it's one thing unapata tunasema lazima nakupata nje. Huo nyinyi mlikuwa na rad. Yaani uko ndani kwa nyumba.
Umesema uende nje kutafuta noma.
Mamado amesema wewe usitoke, weka ndani. Sasa uchungu wa mada ni yani boy alikuwa ndani, alikuwa chini ya bed. Akatolewa, akauliwa. And there was more than one story. Some say, and so all these mothers wananiambia, this is the worst. You know, that's why the mothers of I think Mothers Justice Network, walisema walikuwa wanaambia this was the worst. At least ile mazee inakupata nje, hii inakupata kwa nyumba. Safety. So nikarealize mazee, so nikaanza you do what you do as a journalist, najaribu story moja mbili. Nikagundua mazee, yeah, Kenya is very strange, to operate katika echo chambers,
yeah.
And if you're a UDA guy, you're a UDA guy. If you're Azimio guy, you're Azimio. You don't want to hear any alternative narrative. You know, so kuambia watu wanasema mazee hiyo nikaa walikuwa magangster.
Yeah.
So nikarealize mazee, a couple of stories are going to make a difference. I have to learn what's going here. So nikajipatia shughuli. So nikajicommit kwenda MSJC, Mathare Social Justice,
yes,
every weekend. For doing nothing but just to see. So katika hiyo shughuli tukadecide, just from conversations tukadecide let's start a movement naitwa Mathare Green Movement. So the whole idea is that ilikuwa radical kidogo, but it's a very simple philosophy. Is that for every guy that was shot,
yes,
to dignify his life by planting a tree. Justice Aulike. So ilikuwa tu statistics. So jamaa ilikuwa bora tu umeuliwa wewe ni gangster. You know? A lot of those things just encounter killings. Na ukiunderstand your story ya gangs pia. Yule jamaa unaita gangster lakini mtaani is a hero. You know what I mean? You know, people are complex,
yes,
it's not a single story. Sa tukaanza kupanda miti. So what we do like every weekend, tunaenda pale kuna garbage, tuna clear, najua vile madhara ipo, you know, so trying to plant trees. And that's when I really started understanding what structural violence is, what it means to get trapped, you know, what it means to get trapped in systemically. Na madhara is actually what taught me how to see Kenya properly. Unafikiri una understand class structure, but we don't understand our privilege. You know, like if you unaweza imagine, I'll give you a simple example. Unaweza imagine, kulikuwa hii time ya Black Panther. Nakumbuka movie Black Panther, ile shika kila mahali.
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever. So nilikuwa na reflection sections, Sasa kila sato mwenda pale mazena teach watu, naambia watu maze historically this is why they are slums, Sasa najaribu kupatia watu history. It actually ended up really working, Juu wakaanza kuunderstand, unaelewa hata mbona sisi wagama tuko hapa chini, kuna wengine wako huko juu. So the first thing I did nikasema mazena, so after the theory kasema wacha niwapeleke practical. Sasa kitu kwanza niwapeleka forest. Najua kitu fani ni ukika Madhare, what forest are you looking at? Ni Karura.
Yes. Unasikia
jamaa amefika 20 years of age hajaingia Karura. Haja hata kanyaga. Najua yani yake kuna mali kuna trees ina represent affluence.
Yeah.
Na hatakikani juu kuna soldier fulani atamuliza wewe unaenda wapi? Yeah. So the first thing nikawapeleka Karura forest,
Yes.
Wase kama mpeleka watoi arcade. Ni trees tu, yani kitu normal tu hivyo yani. So nika realize, okay, let's do a little bit further. So nikaorganize a base yangu moja, nikasema wacha tupeleka watu movie. I could say 80% of those guys had never stepped into Sarit Center. Forget even a movie theater.
Yes.
So, tuko na hii, you know, Sarit Center. People, the youngest there is 18. And then tukifika hiyo Sarit, kuna Mjao unfortunately alikufa juzi, alikuwa anaitwa Njao. Njao kwanza kupiga story was he knows this area usiku juu operation. Kwanza kupiga stories za vile alikuwa anasumbua ile wa Parklands. You know, so really telling a story like this, he only knows that place because of his gangster days. Yeah. So that's when I realized this systemic thing is so deep that I need to start countering. And that's why I focused on 2017. Because 2017 violence, and those of us ambao tunatoka Nyanza, opposition stronghold, we understood it well. Because it happened in margins, ilikuwa pocket, and ilikuwa close. Families suffered greatly, but it never made the national news. Because national news ilikuwa jubilation. Everybody was like, it's impossible, this wasn't a violent election, equally designed. Because the government that had turned on the citizens, not citizens against citizens, cut 207. That's why for me I had to memorialize 2017. And I knew a lot of the people who died then. Yeah.
Ekonene, nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya Lemfi. Kama uko US ama Canada na unataka kutuma do Kenya, register kwa Lemfi ukitumia promo code Ekonene. Hii itakuguarantee $20 cashback on your first $100 transaction. Alafu pia time una register, make sure umetick the 2 checkboxes za notifications ndio ukireceive info about amazing offers through newsletters. Na pia usijali, Lemfi hawatumagi hizi letters za, yani unajua like ma messages za kipumba. Pia usisahau every time una transact $50 and above una earn points. Na the more una transact, the more points you earn and you can redeem them as cash ile time unatuma pesa. Alafu pia kitu nanibamba kabisa ni saizi ukitumia Lemfi mzabaki umelipa pay bills na till numbers directly. That means mzabaki umehandle bills za maparo wako ukiwa hizo maside za States ama maside za Canada. Alafu pia wewe mwenyewe as a Lemfi user baki umetafuta ile button imeandikwa get USD $20, ubaki umeinvite mabeste zako, na ukiinvite mabeste zako on their first $100 transaction unapata pesa ngapi? $20 cashback. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, ingia Lemfi. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Ekonene.
Okay, because I think that's the one thing that always gets me in trouble. Because when I tell people that this violence didn't start with Ruto, the government violence, it started kitambo. Unaona mtu yuko like, that means you're supporting Ruto. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just telling you that this has always happened. And we've always looked away. Because I think hiyo kitu umesema, like for a lot of Kenyans, ile time when it's not, haijakuja kwa mlango yako, you look away. So hiyo violence ya like Nyanza for example, like na Baby Pendo, it becomes this non-issue. Even violence ya slums, because Stephanie Mora was Mathare.
Literally alikuwa anakaa kwa balcony. She was literally standing on the balcony.
And then during COVID, you know there was also another kid anaitwa Yasin Moyo
Yeah.
pia shot kwa
We
balcony
did a song on him.
yeah. So naambiaga watu like that does not mean that anyone is supporting Ruto. All we mean is tusisafishe Uhuru akaeni kama siku zake it was these great days.
Yeah.
We need to know this is a systemic problem. Alafu pia apart from that the fact that mtu kama Matiang'i he was at the helm each time and he used to let the police unleash this level of violence on the citizens. So there's another pia nini fulani ile end up nini kwako unaweza soma hii bullet straight because I found that to be interesting.
Nikaa nini?
Yeah,
Nikaa ya kitu show ndio. That's why I got the inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay. Bullets straight from intended targets killing innocent people seeking safety in their own homes.
Yeah.
A city within a city.
Potaangalia baadaye.
Okay, hiyo juu.
Yeah. So hiyo bullets because it reminded me now kulikuwa na Stephanie Mora kulikuwa na majuzi sasa there was another girl called Bridget. I think it's Bridget Njoki. Mm-hmm. So when you relate those two stories you notice that Kenyan nothing changes. Najua these are two different girls very young and because I think Bridget was 12 and Nani was 9 so very young kids who die in places where they should be safe. And as you said kwa slums it's like they live in a whole other different reality from the rest of us because sisi tukifikiria juu ya hizi neighborhoods these middle class neighborhoods it's very hard kupata polisi wakikuja and just
shooting
indiscriminately like it's very interesting. But another thing that you said that I found to be super powerful this was so powerful that I had to take a whole photo of it. Ilikuwa this sentence poverty is hard work.
Maze
Cause
ni kazi.
watu wako Mathare wana understand what poverty means.
Man and mi saa zingine especially uni break because nilipoanza hii kind of environmental work
Yes.
It's environmental work but really it's more than that the tree was just a symbol like symbol of resistance
Yeah.
you have to find a way to kind of rejuvenate people. Yes, purpose hatuna money or the typical Islam economy pia najua ni NGOized
Yes.
briefcase unaanza briefcase yako unapata ka sponsor wako kutoka majuu unafanya shughuli yako unapiga picha the sponsor is really happy but there's really no change because the real change has to be systemic.
Yes.
So I'd seen poverty at main levels. I was lucky in that way because Budango alikuwa now I think about it is quite enlightened.
Yes.
Alitu expose. Most middle class families don't get exposed. They stay within their bubbles. Like Budata alikuwa to expose in a very interesting way. Anakupeleka. Anakupeleka. So for example unaenda kuvisit Rela munabai vitu unasema unabai mkate na mabluban na nini manini ukifika pale unashinda ala
tunakula hizi vitu
ile chakula tunaita ndio tunakula. I could never understand it for a very long time because mbona I could never understand it.
Pia mimi sikuwa na understand till I read your like book you were like oh this was the reason. I never connected. So nikaanza kuwa na hiyo awareness like maze kuna the poor who are poor and then time nilianza kazi Mathare maze the struggle of just men my peers kwa bezangu za Ekal died. I write about him in the yes.
I write about Turu
ametoka Turkana
Turu Ekal professor like what it takes so Jamal kwa describe ya kazi ya kufanya mjengo that thing of unatoka Mathare mazo unatembea paka Inda unangoja uchaguliwe na mwinde kuna foreman fulani nasema okay leo wewe na wewe then you have to and you're doing that over and over and over again. Niko na chekema wochi jamaa sija ametoka where we stayed jamaa sija ametoka hapo Kangemi amekuja mguu amechapa like 10 k's anakuja nasimama kwa gate pale yani shift yake inaanza 6
yes
anakuchapa paka 6 na depend ile best wake akichelewa shauri yake anapika paka 6:30 then he wants to walk another 10k. Maze, when I really started to understood what it took for men and basically men and women, to survive in this city, because Maze, this poverty is crashing, which explains why half of that generation fall through the cracks. Nilipokuwa nafanya hii kazi Mathare, I remember those guys walikuwa wanajiita Waiban. Wabia kuna niambia kupata wase my age, I was in my 40s then, who were still upright, they don't know that reality.
Yeah.
They don't know, you know. And when I looked at the system, I realized why it was impossible for them. That's when some mother is a value of mothers. The poverty crushes you. It doesn't matter how, I don't know, how strong or how positive mindset and Nini, all of those things can be other. It's like systemically, the poverty just crashes you. And that's what's happening to our whole country. Like, and it's still ongoing. Yeah.
Okay, so unaweza somea watu your part ya poverty is hard work like na watu hata before some where is this book available? We'll also say it at the end, but
says unaweza pata mwanzo na Nuria bookstop, all the TBC centers, all the textbook center, half price books.
Yeah.
Somanami Ngara hapa.
Okay. And
then unaweza pata ukiwa Kisumu pia TBC, Coast, Nuria na TBC. Na kuna bookshop moja inaitwa Lolwe. Na unaweza order direct from my website www.oyungapala.com.
Okay.
Tuna deliver. Uko majuu bado kidogo.
Okay, kuzao niko sure watataka kuisoma.
By next week ndakuwa tumeweka Amazon.
Okay, that's going to be great. Good. So niko nataka tu hiyo nini ya poverty is hard work.
Just a small section. Okay.
Yes.
Poverty is hard work. It is to wake up at 4 a.m. and walk for 2 hours from Mathare to the leafy suburbs in the early morning cold of Nairobi. It is to smile as you open a gate for a posh tenant who has walked all of 10 meters from his rented apartment to his parked car and lost his cool because he had to wait for 2 minutes. It is to lie to your children with tears in your heart that tomorrow will be different as you send them to bed hungry. It is to run into police at nightfall after a full day of casual labor, knowing that you only have 2 choices: to run before they see you or wait to be robbed by the law enforcers. It is realizing that it takes a natural disaster causing many deaths for the government to acknowledge people's humanity.
Yeah. Like, to me, this was so powerful because I think sometimes I feel like people try to glorify poverty.
Yeah. Wanasema resilience.
Yes. Kusata kuna hiyo nini ulikuwa umebonga jia resilience. I think it's the one, ile a city within a city, a crucible of suffering, where tourists arrive in droves to marvel at the resilience of its residents.
Oh, they're so happy.
And to photograph the miracle of optimism. I was like, damn. Najua hiyo, like, I think you captured that. Hii sasa ni Mathare. Like, because people think, kuna time ingine nilikuwa we were having a discussion here and a lot of people took it badly because I said we should never glorify poverty. Like, the Mathares and the Kayoles and the Kibras, they are not things to look back to and feel like, I had to go through that. We should strive to have a society where no one lives like that. Sijuka ina make sense.
Yeah, ina make sense kabisa.
Yeah, like tuna need, because inafika level nika tunatry kuglorify it. Kuna budaka ujaipitia hivi, then like, no, I don't have to go through that. We go through that because our politicians are incompetent and they are corrupt and sijui kama
ndio kuna shida moja pia. Kuna hii tunaita tokenism. Tunachukua example huu mmoja ambaye alipenya.
Yes.
Naona, you know, like one guy, you know, nani alikuwa kapala lakini alipenya. We never talk about the other 9 who remained.
Yeah.
So when we talk about this one guy, huyu jamaa alitoka roots, mazali alitoka hood, mazali squeeze and check pale mafika. We never talk about the 9 who remained. Yeah, so your point iko valid sana.
Yeah, because kuna kwa kana hiyo, like, tunataka. Yeah. And then another thing that you talked about was other people that you talked about, Whispers Wahome Mtahi. And I realized something I didn't know. I didn't know that Whispers aliendaga kwa hizo Nyayo Chambers.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Whispers was in there for a bit. Hey, man, you guys, you know, people call them, I mean, sometimes, but you can't help people. What is a legend, eh?
Yeah.
Lately, which is I find quite absurd. But if you want to talk about the Whispers is a legend.
Yeah.
Whispers is a legend. Hiyo koloma yake nafikiri ilichapa for, God, it must have been like almost 28 years or something like that. Dude, nika figure short 28 years. Just think about it. Week after week, maze uko present, you know, going, created a whole new genre. Yet he is satire and writing. Everybody's writing satire. That's Whispers, the first guy to actually do it. He was the first guy to localize, read the language properly, you know, mainstream, you know, Whispero.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, alikuwa jamaa theater. He's less known as a thespian.
Oh, Okay.
You know, alikuwa down to KNT. So he was writing plays, you know. Walikuwa nafanya critical plays. Remember, this is Nyayo era. Critical plays, you know, proper satire. You know, that whole vein ya kina Ngugi na Msheremugo.
Yeah.
You know, I will marry when I want, you know, the trial of Dedan Kimathi, you know.
Yes.
So when the kind of the crackdown started, wakanza a lot of the intellectual class, because the idea was, we were caught up in the struggle between capitalism and communism, and what was happening in America was transplanted here. So then anybody who was talking socialism was seen to be communist, and anything that represented that, anything about like question, was basically had to be suppressed. Walikuwa naita seditious material. Ilifika mali hata kuna animal farm ama kuna kalmas kwa nyumba, that's enough to get you into prison. Excuse me. So Whispers was picked up, you know. He was picked up because not so much because when I Whispers a quiet guy, a polite guy, Nini, you know. It's radical in a way we understand a radical. But what they were afraid of was his brain, his mind, and what he was writing and what he was opening up society to. Whispers went into the torture chambers. I think he was there for 15 months.
15
months. And even wrote a book about it, 3 days on the cross. And the book, imagine, even in spite of all of that, is still satirized. He couldn't even name the main guys. I think it's 3 days on the cross, if I'm not wrong. So Whispers, and then what for me that makes Whispers a legend. This is why I say people should use this word very carefully. Is that in spite of that, Akarudi went right back to the papers and continue. You know, and in fact, if Whispers had not died the way he did, I suspect Whispers would still be writing to date.
Okay, because that's one of the things that I was surprised, because I didn't think Whispers alinene. Alafu kuenjoy Moi that alikuwa nabeba this phallic symbol in the form of a rungu.
I don't know, you guys, it's hard to kind of understand what he meant growing under Moi.
Just
not Musama kuna 3 stages of Moi for us, huh?
Yes.
The first stage ni ujama ni demigod. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's Argentina na Maradona. Yani, it's just, ni awe, you know, awe. Tulikuwa napiga historia, tulikuwa shule, nilikuwa sama pale naitwa Kilimani Primary, I don't know where he used to come from. Because alikuwa naishi Kibich, interesting enough,
Yes.
Cabinet Gardens, and sometimes alikuwa napitia that route, I think on his way to State House. Napita Agwins Kodek, and then from Hurlingham nashukia ukienda State House, And he used to do these things of anastop kwa shule, just before outside the gate. Somehow, you know, those days Mwaki come, the roads are cleared for 30 minutes or something. Anakuja outside the gate, anapop, anasema zake, anawevio kitu, tingiza, anawevio kitu. Basi lazima awache kitu. So what is this guy is like the benevolent father, you know, like, you know, father figure. Tulikuwa naga mass choirs. Tunaenda pale, mimi kwanza nilikuwa gaskao. So just kukua Nyayo for a national celebration. It was like a highlight of your childhood. Like I was singing for the president. I joined the mass choir, you know. So we start with this guy, you know, every Sunday ukiamuka, you know, the first thing is the president there, you know, is in charge, you know. That's the first broadcast. So this was our guy. This was the guy. And then the second phase started to go high school. And I tell people the turning point for a lot of us.
Yes.
Ilikuwa story ya Uko. When Uko was murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Uko killed himself,
and then with all that stuff. And that's the first time we said, this narrative is not working.
Yeah.
Kuna vile, the math is not mathing. You know what I mean? Huh?
Yeah.
So that's when the first time, especially if you come from my side of the country, because Uko was like technically a sellout. You know, tulikuwa na Rao and everybody else on the other side.
Yeah.
Kina Orengo. But then there was Uko he was in government, you know. And we loved him because we loved him actually for his professionalism. You know, at least alikuwa na epitomize ile, you know, ujaka ile, you know, professional. Despite the fact that he was serving a corrupt government.
Yes.
Then Uko dies the way he dies. And that's the first time we understand this notion of, oh, shit, untouchables. Hakuna kitu kama untouchables hapa. Anybody could go. You know? And we start to really, the country was raw brutality. I mean, every people, I asked these younger guys, Gen Zs, to read up on the history of because it was a major public trial that was scuttled anyway. And And then we saw the crackdown after that, witness after witness. Scotland Yard only come, like, that case cannot be resolved. Then that was the first time the bubble, the illusion of like, hey, this is what power is. Like, this is what power is capable of. Like, it can change the rules and it can do anything and it can break anybody. Doesn't matter even if you're just in its breath. So then Moi became somebody that had to go. So then we're sisters and basically my Gen Z your time.
Yes.
Tuko Karura pale na nini na Wangara Madai, we're basically, because tuko uni at that time, so we're basically the foot soldiers. So this push happens, 202 yote wezekana bila Moi, the guy is gone. And then of course the new regime comes in. It looks good until 205.
Yes.
When the breakup happens, that leads up to 2007. Now in the post, so that's the second stage of Moi is like, oh, Moi is a tyrant. Third stage of Moi, then we realize actually Moi is actually a victim of systemism. He was a victim of, yes, you can judge Moi as the man, but you see, we'd only known one president.
Yes.
Jonyato Maze was dead by the time we were coming through. So that's when we realized, oh, there's a systemic problem that goes beyond just the man. So nikaanza ku understand kama Moism, like what is this? What are the factors that produce a Moi? And that's what changed for me. That's when I realized that, okay, it's a systemic problem. It's not about just the person itself. Yeah, you could put the person there, hoping that the person will be, tulikuwa na illusion, and Obama killed it anyway. Because Obama came to power and we all thought, oh shit, a black man's in power, the world is going to change.
Yeah,
look where we are now. So I realized, okay, we really need to focus on systemic problems. This is why, and get out of this idea of ati kuna savior fulani kamesaya ambaye atatokea mazee and just resolve all the problems. Yeah.
Okay. And then Mzee Ojwang, how did you feel? Like, because now that's another thespian.
Yeah. Ojwang, and for me, I've been an artist, but people don't always think of me as an artist, which is kind of sad. But I'm much of an artist first, guys. Like, so I respect artists.
Yes.
So Ojwang for us, because Ojwang, I can't remember the time, but anyway, me, I'm watching Ojwang from black and white TV.
Yes.
Single station, VOK days. The first family show I ever know.
Yes.
Ni basically ilikuwa Vioja Makamani. I think then after that ilikuwa Vitimbi. Yeah. So this guy is on my screen every day, and the reason why Ojwang ilikuwa fascinating for a lot of us, Ojwang ilikuwa msapere mwana atuka mjaka, and it took us like literally, I don't know, probably 10 years of our lives before we realized that he's called Wanjao.
Yes. Yeah, you know
what I mean. So so that's the first time I realized, hey, come in your art.
Yes.
This is what it means to be an artist. You take a character so deeply and until you even fool your audience. So Ojwang, of course, over the years goes, and I grow, and of course, scene has to change. And then, of course, the Najavila die, like hospital bills, the classic case. And then kulikuwa na fundraiser and all of that stuff. And it's about that time they can pay attention to Ojwang, because I'm like, suddenly as the first draft I wrote in my column was just childhood comedian that I always knew. But when I was redoing this book, I started looking at now, okay, like what is Ojwang's real contribution? Could we quantify? Then I realized Ojwang was originally the first one. That's why I said, oh, this guy's actually a lot bigger than we actually realized. Ojwang was the first one to basically, because when you think about it, around the time Ojwang is coming in, I think because of his age, the Luo Q rivalry is tight.
Yes.
They're toxic.
Yeah.
Zilikuwa zile age that Okuyu, you don't even marry, like nothing. It's toxic, but it's underground.
Yes.
Sasa kitu iko open vile siku hizi, social media, go underground, just like it's known, like toxic, like we are victims and you avoid. Then you have a guy playing the double character. So already this guy is softening from a radical artistic point of view. He's doing something very radical, So that's the first thing I started saying, hey, who jamba alikuwa na navigate ka line ingine tight. Can you imagine in this day a guy trying to do that? You'll be considered like, what did you call it? Appropriation. No, there will be so many ways of label. So that was the first thing I read. And then Ojwang influenced everybody. Kila mtu alikuwa anafanya double characters, None of those guys was the tribe that they were, they were acting. So Ojwang is the first, another Savati story. And then Ojwang wanna build coalition. So he's not like a single star. So his class just keeps on growing, anaanza Ojwang, Mama Kayai, then akina Mzetama, then ile group ya kina Nyoka Tukota anaanza kukam, it's just generation after generation. So I'm looking at how many guys Ojwang has built just around that Vitimbi set, and he kept them together.
Yeah.
And so when I look at now at the comedy industry in Kenya, the godfather ni Ojwang. Everything. In fact, that's the reason part of a lot of us are stuck in slapstick. In the slapstick,
Yes.
we can't,
Yeah.
and we're all doing this character games, teacher Wanjiku,
Yeah.
we're all doing the character because that's literally Zone started it. And without Ojwang, you'd not been having this stand-up comics. So you look at how foundations of industries, and we forget the pioneers. So that's what I was trying to say. We now have a very thriving,
Yes.
like what do you call it, comic industry, like kuna range. But we forget who the pioneers were. And that's why I wanted to kind of memorialize Ojwang and say this guy's contribution should not be forgotten. Yeah.
Okay. And nataka sasa to rewind kidogo, and we are rewinding because tunaruka mbele tukienda to your sister. When I'm reading your book, the first time I read about your sister is your accident. Your accident yako ya motorbike. So ulikuwa na bike for how long? Like when did you start biking?
I think I was biking for about maybe 6, 7, 8 years maybe.
Yeah.
Because in Nyanza about maybe about 6 years. About 6 years,
Na hiyo ni sasa ni motorbike, not
Kabisa. No, geez, Buddha.
yeah.
600cc tenere kitu mazi nikiingia hapo mtajua nimefika. Kwanza uko nini maize maalam za gari zi twi
Nani kuna kufundisha at 6-7?
nilikuwa na
Nani kuna kufundisha like to ride kuzansa?
kuna backstory. You have time?
Yeah, we have time. Yeah.
Okay.
Eh.
So this same sister of mine, she's interesting in this way. Usistango lenda akaenda akaishi a country called Laos.
Okay.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Iko katikati ya Thailand, Vietnam, China na Cambodia.
Gap yak in a way ilikuwa how many years?
13
Okay.
years. Huh?
Okay.
Sana ishi Laos. Hiyo time nilikuwa nashughulika, nilikuwa nataka at that time there's period fulani nilikuwa na hiyo obsession ya lazima niende majuu sana, nimefika you get confused in careers because the Kenyan market seems so small
Yes.
and ukifika I've been writing this long, nimepiga column for like 4 years. It's time to now
Yes.
to
Take
jump
to
the
next
scene,
level.
like next level, and the only way you can go is you have to go to the States West. That's all we knew.
Yes.
So story na visa unakatizwa, you know what I mean, blockages nini, we don't hauna ka bank statements za maana, so you can't get a visa.
Yeah.
And then so of course just sango alikuwa ameishi States nikamuuliza mazee, hey, give me a strategy. Anasema stop wasting time in the States. Sikuja hapa East ni visa on arrival. Kasema hala, all it is an air ticket, just visa on arrival. They want to respect the Kenyan passport.
Yeah.
So nikachukua plane, flight nikafika Laos, through Thailand. So when I was in Laos, nikaanza story na my adventure. Basically kwa bicycle.
Oh yeah.
So nikapata challenge fulani to cross the country on a bicycle. Na ni country moja hili.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Sana nabonga na kuna walami fulani ambao walikuwa just tangu. Walikuwa kama biker. Hao ndio walikuwa wamefungua ma routes, the biking routes, because Laos ilikuwa a rural country kidogo.
Yes.
At that time. Now it's completely changed. It was funny. It's funny as an African to come and find a country that looked like your country in the 80s. Yeah, that's the 2000s. So it looked very rural to me. Simple, nini, small. The city is like in a kaka town too. In a karatina hivi. Excuse me. So it was small. It wasn't big. And so nikaanza cycling adventures, so just jama kunipatia challenge fulani, but pure ignorance. I had no idea what I was getting into. Think walikuwa na enjoy pia. Kumbe ilikuwa ka mountain pass.
Yeah.
Na mimi niko na bike ingine basic, nothing, no special equipment. It's my mountain bike too.
Yeah.
Basic. It's not my equipment. Mabaka hizo zako mazeni nimezifunga hapo kando. Zina mimic saddlebags. Unaka backpack yako. Unataka helmet, unaka ngepa.
Yeah.
Some riding through. Luckily it's a warm country. And then naanza kuencounter hizi hills. Na niko solo. Nyeudhi, they don't see black people. Kuna areas zingine unafika mazee
Wanashtuka.
Wacha kustuka. Watu wao wanakimbia kwanza. Wanakimbia kwanza. Wanakimbia kwanza basi wanaanza kurudi moja wanakucheck. It was that kind of encounters. hauna lugha, all of that, hauna map, hakuna ma GPS those days, just pure unatembea na literally physical map. So during this riding kulikuwa na mabikers wengi wanapitia. So nikapata group of bikers wakanicheki hivi. Walikuwa wafikiri niko stoned, because kuna area there's a lot of like drugs like opium in some parts of it. A lot of jungus wanakuja hapo mazao wanakuja kustone, just they come and get high. So this guy just imagined I was high because I was doing something, it's like actually considered quite stupid. Now that I think about it at the time. So they just assumed I was high. Then kumaze kuniketisha down wakagundua, oh no, this guy's actually quite normal. Then they looked at me and they said, you've got a mentality of a motorcyclist, of a biker. So that was the first instinct I thought, maybe I should need to switch to bikes. So kurudi when I finished that adventure, it was like a 1 week trip. When I returned back to the base in a place called Vientiane, I meet these bikers again, same guys I'd met up in the hills. So they're like, hey, you need to learn to ride a motorcycle. Waka insist to, like they were like big brothers. I think they're in their 50s at the time. So basically wakanipeleka kwa a square, one of these big squares. Na ilikuwa I remember 250 Bajaj. 250 Bajaj. Like now you see them, you don't see them much. You don't see that kind of, ni kama zile bikes za Kenya Power. They look like that. Like the old days. So jamaa kunipatia 250 Bajaj, najua kuendesha bicycle, sasa na shida na balance. Instruction alikuwa mjaman, jamaa nakupatia tu instruction, blah blah blah, do your thing. Nikapanda bike, nikachapa, nikaanza kupiga maloop. Nasema hii kitu si hard. So kustop hivi, so I don't know how to stop the bike. So naifinya hivi, at the same time nimeshika brake. So nikaa ina rave. But you nilikuwa strong enough, nimeshika bike down, so it's not moving. Jamaa wazee walitoka hapo mbio wakakuja kuzema bike. Wakasema after kutulia wakasema, the fact that you could hold a 250 Bajaj that you are raving, don't even waste time trying to get a 250. You go from 500 upwards.
Okay.
So kufika hapa Kenya, nikaanza, I just knew how to get a bike, So I looked around, nikapata jamaa moja, I can't remember his name, but he had like a Tenere, beautiful bike, 600cc, super Tenere. Sikuwa na confidence hata kuchukua hiyo bike. Niliza best yangu mmoja anaitwa Mike ushapa madaa somewhere. Mike alinilete bike. Then I just started practicing, but since I kind of had ni kama muscle memory, in about a week I mastered the bike. A week later nilikuwa ocha already. That's how confident I became. And then from then nikaanza kuride na nikaanza kufanya kitu naitwa motorcycle diaries. So I used to write for the drum magazine. Ilikuwa a back page, so nikipiga maraundi zangu najaribu kuleta interesting stories if you viona. So by the time I guess we can move to the bike accident. So by the time I've been riding for like literally about 5 years or so.
Okay.
Sasa ni identity. Mimi wale sema zetu naingia ma leather jacket na unashinda ukibeba helmet. Nilikuwa nakafanya magazine fulani ilikuwa inaitwa Adam. Sikuwa nakumbuka Adam.
Adam nakumbuka. Yes.
So nilikuwa to the biker. Ukiuliza guys from that era, I was just known as a biker. Hata maziki nikienda rusi nimevaa suti lakini niko kwa bike. Bike ilikuwa full everywhere I go it's just a bike. So by the time I'm having this accident, nime upgrade bike yangu, so I'm driving like a 750 Super Tenere. Much bigger bike, more fancier, not as loud, but more powerful. So ujama, I'm riding on Status Avenue. One of those days, I'm going through a lot of transition time.
Yes.
Nime resign kutoka Adam. Column imeisha, nime resign.
Yes.
And then story na hii Nairobi, unatoka tu spotlight namna hii, everything just shuts down.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So na navigate your season. Suddenly I thought I had influence, naenda kwa watu maze, nothing's happening, Zile my ideas zangu kali. By that time tulikuwa na transition to websites. I thought everybody would be a blogger, ta move na audience yangu. Chief maze, nilibaki hapo peke yangu maze. It's not translating. Yeah. So niko katika hiyo hali, that confusion. So I'm riding on State House, unajua pale just State House, just before procession way pale. Ujama alikuwa na one of the things ukiwa kwa road ukiwa na bike, kuna watu, it's a male thing, eh? People like compete with you a lot. Naona, so you always find a guy kaderema, say pia, zivyo tunatreat watu wanduthi, utaka kumwacha nafasi, nini. So jamaa zana ni sniff tu kila saa, you know, like, it's driving really close, like, what's up with this guy, man? So kasema, wacha nijipatie ka room kidogo, najua bike na power, let me just show this guy what this is about. Kume in that split second, ile truck ilikuwa mbele yangu, ilikuwa imebreak. Nika panic. You know, instinct was just to hold the brakes. Yeah, worst thing you can do on a bike. You know what I mean? So it slid. So the bike is going that way, me have fallen down, you dinga na kam, a jamani ya could break. Mazan nili crash. Nika land just under the sump. You know? The bang was so loud, the witness was like, oh, I die.
Yeah.
And that for me.
Na hiko how far from Nini State House yenye?
Next to State House. Ilikuwa kwa hiyo road, State House Avenue. Unapita tu processional way hivi. Hapo mbele.
Asa hakujagi kwa na kitu kama hiyo?
No, watu walikama. Mimi nilikuwa down pale. Ilikuwa scene kabisa. Watu walitokea, it was blocked. Nini, you know, I was lying down.
Nasema now security
Walitokea.
Okay.
Walitokea. So it was a scene. And I'm lying there on tarmac. So first of all, I mean, that's why I call it a near-death experience.
Yes.
In the sense that it's a very strange, it's hard to describe it, but let me try. It's like you leave your body.
Yes.
That's why the title of that particular chapter is This How I Die. Usually nilkam kwa kichwa yangu. Yani, this is how I die. Yani, like this, yani, I've ridden sijui to where I die on State House Road. I'm not even riding at ilikuwa hata sijafika 60. This is how I die. You know, so I'm asking myself that question as I'm lying down here. Then at some point nasikia jamaa anasema Good Samaritan ndio hao. Maze bado iko hai nini. Nikagundua waze kumbe I'm alive, and then so unaanza kusikia uchungu. And so it was from that point that I really started to reflect on death.
Yeah.
That survival, because I'm this thing, maze, you can die like this. And that's why my awareness changed. It took me like almost 10 years later to start to write this book. But that's the point when I started thinking about it critically. Like, I need life can just end.
Yeah. Inagati nini. Because I think now kwa this story is where now you first introduce us to your sister. Because unasema juu ya vile alikuletea ni painkillers,
Yeah, painkillers. Yeah. Oh yes, karibu ni sayo pata. So niko kwa hosia. Kwanza maze kuna interesting thing I make. Kuna choice. Watu wanasema Good Samaritan wasema Kenyatta Aga Khan wanajaribu ku profile.
Yes.
Ukila juu sana nilikuwa na bike. Unasema Aga Khan, you know, like upper class hospitals. Luckily for me, mimi nasikia hii argument, luckily for me kuna mlami fulani alitokea anaitwa Simon Cox.
Yes.
Simon Cox alikuwa biker. So he knows the protocols accidents, So I can check maze lucid nini, are you okay? Papa I said, yeah, I'm good. I said, skiza, chukua phone yangu. Tafuta kulikuwa na friend wangu alikuwa anaitwa Dorothy. So find the number of Dorothy, call. Juu alikuwa anafanya Aga Khan. That's how I end up in Aga Khan.
Yes.
And I told him, kwa ambulance anaambia, call my sister, call my brother. Sister yangu alikuwa kaa herbalist hivi, alikuwa just very good with medicine.
Yes.
Sana alternative. Sasa kufika mimi nimeingia pale hosi, najua hosi pia hosi is not immediate, you know, emergency lakini ukiingia pale siji kitambo malize paperwork.
Yes.
Doctor akifika kwako inachukua time,
Yeah.
They want to stabilize and then, you know. So in lying down there, my sister comes ananicheck hivi akaniuliza maze na kijaka. Hivi nje nade, acha ni rem. Pain.
Yeah.
Pain. Kulikuwa na tablets zingine ndogo hivi nikaa 5 za red ndogo, zile mabuyu ndogo. Kaniambia meza hizi vitu chap.
Zote tano.
Yeah, chap meza hizi vitu. Nikazimeza hivi. In literally, it was a very short time. In literally like about 10 minutes. Your pain nikaisha tu. I just didn't feel any pain anymore. So by the time hao jamaa kuja kuni examine, niko lucid deadly. You know, like I'm talking like I'm normal. And so the only problem I have ni ka flesh wound too. You know, umegraze, jale nika ili rise, umegraze your side. So the guys look at me. We can't find a reason to. I have not broken any bones. You know, so hence the miracle of it.
Yes.
There's really no reason for you to be admitted. And so literally, I think Yeah, so that medicine is literally what made all of the difference, you know. It's like a Chinese pills, huh? Yeah.
Oh, because even like later when you're talking about her, you talk about Vilali Hill. Like, was it one of her neighbors who also had back pain?
Yeah, exactly. And she was alikuwa na hiyo gift. Najua alikuwa na heal intuitively. Najua wale watu anaingia kwa hao una shida. Nikaa naanza look to around nasema una nini hapa? And she got it from my grandmother. My grandmother pia alikuwa na hiyo intuitive, nikaa healer quality. My grandmother wale nakumbuka story moja, it was very interesting. That's why I knew my grandmother was special. Kuna tulikuwa kwa bus stop pale Ocha. Siku za unangoja ma3 zile za you look familiar. Nakumbuka zile ma3 za you look familiar. So jamaa akakamna mtu alikuwa amemwona nyoka. So wanamrusha watakumpeleka hosi Luanda tunaishi mahali inaitwa Game. It's like about 6 kilometers away.
Yes.
So as we are standing there, so kuna grandma pale sisi tunangoja ma3 going the same direction. So jamaa kuja panic, you know, wanaanza ma3 na ma3 chukua time na zile wanakuja once in a while. So kuna ile panic hapa. So grandmother wangu akacheki tu hivi ndani, akaangalia tu hivi. Akaingia ukichaka hapo. Akaanza kutafuta tu. Akaanza to look around tu. Shortly akapono what is pono in so plug vitu.
Yes.
Some sounds translation work. So akakam pale akazirab akamwekea pale and first of all he stopped the building and suppose that thing sucks the poison. That's when I knew okay. Then waga healer and then the pure instinct just looked around pap. And over the years I started watching her heal people. Na sistango alikuwa na hiyo instinct. Now what made my sister even more interesting, yeye alikuwa anafanya multiculturally. So alikuwa anajua za different traditions.
Yes.
Anajua za Kihindi, anajua za Kijaka, anajua za Chinese, you know, so she was very good. So she always walked around with like fundamental what do you call it, like a medicine box. Yeah. And so then hii time alikuwa Uganda, kuna jamaa kutoka Australia alikuwa na proper back pain, you know. He had been through a lot of surgery. My sister literally gave him like 2 regimens and the back pain went.
Yeah.
And so she was always known as a healer. Alikuwa anasaidia watu ambao walikuwa na heart attacks ku recover. That's what she used to do. You know, and she was so good at it, but she was not a professional, you know what I mean? The typical thing. So when she got sick, we were worried but not too worried. Because she was on top of our stuff. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So is it like your back pain, like it's just medicine alikuwa mpata in that world, you're in that Asian world?
Yeah. Because of the problem is that's the problem with colonization. We only have one kind of medical protocol.
Yes.
You know, we forget the other alternatives. But alternatives exist.
Yeah.
Even within kind of traditional African herbal. And I'm glad siku hizi naona hiyo space inaanza kuexpand. Watu wanaanza kujua dawa zao. You know? But her alikuwa anajua almost instinctually. Sio alikuwa na chop.
Yeah.
Just had a sense of
this is
medicine, this is what, and she could almost diagnose pain just like it's like she was not really healing your body. She was like ka heal ka spirit, you know. She had a very interesting protocol because I've seen her work with people in very strange ways. Yeah, and she always had essence, you know, just 1-2 things that solves a problem. Yeah.
Oh, because I think pia vile umesema colonization, so we were just used to Western.
Yeah, no, it has to be in a pill capsule. If it's not a capsule.
Alafu the Western way kuagia kutreat na kuaga create dependency so that there's more money to be made from that.
So it's a regimen that just keeps you coming back and forth. Huh?
Yeah. So like I also found her story to be interesting because of like the fact that she chose never to get married. So nikiangalia side ya mother, these were like one of the strangest things was like my mom's big sister also chose that life. And for that generation ya kina mother ilikuwa weird, like how do you choose not to get married? Nacheki. So unapata mother ndi alikuwa namfuata, mother ako na watoi 8, sister yake mbigi no kid. Nacheki. But now she was a chain smoker. So shida nani she was a chain smoker, so now lung cancer caught up with her. Because alikuwa na smoke ile inaitwa nini, tobacco ile and she do it
kwese.
You know the Luo way unaingiza hivi alafu
ile ni science jo.
yeah,
Ile ni
like
science.
unashindwa kwani ichomi lip.
Ile ni science.
Yeah.
That shit, yeah.
Yeah, so she'd do that. So we mwenye, did you ever have the discussion with her like why didn't she want nini? Because majuzi nimekaa chini with an antinatalist and him said he does not want kids because he feels like unaleta kids to a world of suffering.
Yeah, my sister had none of those illusions. This woman is quite different. Sometimes I say, she's inspired a whole book. Unique in that I always say I'm privileged to have had her as a sister. She's completely different from anything I'd seen before. Now, she not so first of all, and I'd say this very politely, she wasn't like in the mode of a feminist as we know it.
Yes.
Nikianza kumdescribe nakaka feminist hivi. None of that. None of that. She liked men. You know what I mean? None of those.
Yeah.
She hung out mostly with men. You know what I mean? Ukiona kirende yake ni basically men. So she had none of those issues. She pretty much brought us up because ile age gap. So alikuwa very present in the home. Kama like a younger mother, like a co-parent almost. Because she alikuwa firstborn. So none of those supposed, of what we think of as independent women these days have. Participated, alikuwa anajua role within the family. Hata katika hizo matanga na nini alikuwa anajua anajua kujiseparate. None of those issues. My sister, and this is a really interesting, when I came to an understanding, and I came to this understanding visit nilipoenda Laos. That's when I came to really understand. My sister ndio alikuwa Buddhist. Yeah. And she had this understanding of life that she was just passing through. And she wanted to be done. So she was like, I'm just passing through this life. I'm here to learn what I need to learn. And when I'm leaving, I don't want to live with baggage. I just want to be. So it was almost, if I say it politely without kind of sounding too abstract, karmic.
Yes.
Yeah. And I said, I'm just like, this is the last cycle I'm doing. I don't want to return with heavy karma. Yeah. This is the last. So that's why her choices in life was all about towards this fulfillment. So my sister never quite mainstreamed. Alipotoka US. Even just halfway through years, alienda college US early in the 1980s. Yeah. But she never quite mainstreamed. That means hakupata a regular job, So she kind of used to work for money. And then she gets money, then she does what she's doing. Now my exploration, my kind of inner work, a lot of meditation, a lot of basically esoteric. Excuse me, we don't understand this. We don't do it as much these days. Or if we do, it's too much fascination. But kind of esoteric is what interested her. Like, how does the human condition, the inside, all of that, the inner world, and that's what she was doing. So she looked at this life as basically she needed to pass through as clean as possible. And then when she was done, and fun enough, and you can see it in the book, she ended up doing it. Like she left lean. She left, my sister's stuff. My sister alipona die. All of her stuff fitted into her R4. Like all of it. She had cleared everything. She was literally living Spartan. You know what I mean? Unasema kabed pale. Lakini like her core stuff. Ilikuwa sanduku mbili. Alikuwa anatumia zile metal box za shule. Those 2 big boxes and a suitcase. That was it. Her stuff was done. She had reduced her life to the essence. So in a way, she was unique in that way. And that is why she forced me to really think about, I used to think about, because in the kind of a Buddhist principle, they have this thing about the art of dying.
Yes.
Like what does it mean to die? And so you live life preparing for death. And the only way to prepare for death is to live purposefully. Alikuwa a perfect example of that reality. So it had nothing to do with a lot of these things that we say, children are a burden. No. She pretty much brought us up. She was like a co-parent, and she was involved in other children's lives. But she was very clear from her own. She understood that in order to travel, to explore, kujijua, angeweza kufanya akiwa family person. Yeah.
Okay. And then you talk about how now she discovers she's sick. And mulitry sana. I don't know if I was able to calculate how long did it take kwanzia ambiwe she needs surgery like today, because by the time the discovery because I feel like it took a very long time before.
It took a long time,
how long did it take before she passed?
It took about 11 months. It took about 11 months. And that's why my grieving process became so hard after that. You think about it this way. So mwenye yuko na ile awareness, by the way, kwanza tulipoanza kupata problems na treatment
Yes.
kwanza naanza the obvious India. Basi unajaribu kupata match, it's not really working, and the condition is a little bit complicated so it's not as simple, so you have to get a specialist first,
Yes.
and then an institution, and then now raising the monies.
Yes.
So you're always going through that process over and over again. So once we started realizing, hey, this thing is going to be difficult, she was aware enough to tell me straight up, dude, najua hiyo ugonjwa mazee, somebody can just collapse. So she's telling you straight up, Stain. So I'm already dealing with that. So nashika hiyo tension tayari. At the same time, you're trying to find healing. And she's also, but then she's also participating properly. Yeye ndiye anapiga research, yeye ndiye anajua exactly what she needs. So mi kazi yangu ni ku follow up. Ambia, okay, nimepata huyu specialist, maze follow up na my emails na kila kitu. That's what she was doing. So that thing goes on for like about 11 months. And that's why it was so drawn out. Because, so you have to, every day unaamka, you're not sure.
Yes.
If she'll make it a day. And then sometimes kuna period, sometimes una lag, you think, oh, and you forget. And then kuna scare. Then you go back into tension, then it relaxes. We were doing that literally for 11 months. And the thing that really confused us, anybody ambayo shaka na mtu ambayo ana ail,
yes,
just before they die,
energized. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's what really confused us. So we're like, in fact, I even have the in the book how alinitumia ka SMS akasema maze, tumetoboa. Hii auto ime heal. Now we just have to do another protocols, but to survive. In fact, the idea was that start to andika a book about this journey. A month later is when she collapses and dies. Yeah.
Because even that was like one of the most I don't know, I think there's a part you talked about how we normally face death alone, and the fact that she dies alone na hamjui till days later. So what sort of communication were you doing during your period? Ulikuwa naongea naye every day?
Every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so hii time unasema when you couldn't reach her, you just assumed she was resting.
Najua vile naweza kucall sikupati, then of course I'll call you back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then ni weekend, unajua routine yake, unajua pengine alisoma the whole night, saa na relax, and then unashikwa na shughuli, before you know it 2 days have passed, you have not checked your phone. Another kind of thing, Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. So I speak to her on a Friday. Things are good. Okay, sir, we'll catch you. And then I kind of get caught up. Then I try and call Sato hivi. Ashike simu, nasema, nitamtafuta the next day.
So simu ilikuwa inaingia?
Yeah, inaingia.
Okay.
Basi na assume tu,
she's
yuko
resting.
busy, or something, Ama alipenda kuweka simu silent. So na assume tu, maze hajaona simu, ata call back. Yeah, that's what happened. Kumbe maze, she's been dead for 3 days, man.
Oh, okay. Because then there was also the interesting thing about cremation is it's just this weekend tukiwa kwa funeral ya our friend's dad.
Yeah.
Is when a certain friend of mine anaitwa Githenji.
Yeah.
Is there like somehow you times sikuwa najua your sister gets cremated, and these guys they're telling us like, you know what, our dad got cremated, and after Budao now all of them it became like a family thing.
Yeah.
So baadaye nasoma kitabu yako niko like it's such interesting
Yeah.
the way life works. Ile hapo unasikia hivi, then history ingine you yourself ukiangalia cremation, is it how do you feel it works ikikame to the whole mourning process, like because you really paint the picture of that drive from Uganda to Kenya. And I think maybe one of the things I'd want to know is your mom, because is your mom still around?
Around.
How did she handle that her daughter got cremated?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for my mom's leadership during this time. I just if your mom is not kujapata endorsement ya madhako,
yes,
kwa situation complicated kai, it can be very trying. So the decision for cremation was very interesting. It had two folds. First of all, my sister wanted to be cremated.
Yes.
But hiyo cremation yake ilikuwa more from convenience purposes.
Yeah.
She wasn't even akuwa na insist atiki Buddhism. It was just like mazee mambo ya sijui mnaanza juu tumepiga hiyo period, so it was more of like anger at people. Tumepiga hiyo period raising money is hell. Have you tried raising money when somebody's sick? Huh?
Yeah.
Raising money is hell. What am I choker? In fact, people are wishing you dead. Like, we bado this story yako maze bado jaisha, you know? So raising money is hard. So she knew exactly what will happen, you know, like she will die like this. Suddenly there'll be so much money, and everybody say, "Oh, Nyangi was wonderful." You know, "Oh, what an amazing woman, you know, phenomenal." And all this time in Uganda, nobody's really checking her out. You know, she's really isolated, a small circle. So she was like, you know, just cremate me. You know, and so you don't have to go through stories at my expense na pretense.
Yes.
Alikuwa so certain mpaka wakasema kuna watu fulani ako anataka kwa funeral yake. Sema nani please, I don't want them there. You know, that's how clear she was.
Yeah.
So that was the whole premise of cremation. Me as ka anthropologist na mtu jaka proper, you know, solid. Kwa nambia maze hiyo ni na kimoyo nasema tu hiyo ni impossible. Jumaze kitambo to kai down na wazee.
Yeah, to convince.
Yeah, it will be no way I can tell them that we're going to cremate somebody. Itakuwa maze do what we do, you know. Person kwani pesa yako. Let's bury bana. What's your problem? Yeah. So but the complication of the thing is that the state of the body is completely decomposed. You know, and then at the time kulikuwa na Ebola scare in Uganda. And the cause of that Ebola scare ilikuwa watu fulani ambao walibari body ambayo supposedly ilikuwa na infection, huh?
Yes.
So it just wasn't an option. It just wasn't an option. So the best option then was actually cremation, you know. And so we had to explain to mother all of these things. And mother now, by the way, is my mom now is going to be 90 next year. Okay. You know, so she's seen a lot. And so as I was explaining to mother, the thing about me and my mom, luckily, juu nimeishi of all my siblings, mimi nimeishi ocha the longest. Huh?
Yeah.
So that kuna and we're real with each other.
Yes.
We're kind of honest with each other. So anajua reality yangu. So she's not trying to be stubborn. She knows.
Yeah.
Huyu jamaa yuko peke yake because ametoka Netherlands. You know, nobody else can make it. I made it and just kind of took charge. Nilikuwa na experience on my funerals. So anajua what I'm going through. She knows what I'm holding. So akaniambia tu anataka Japunja. Japunja, what do you think we should do? You know, na tukaangalia the circumstances zote akasema we have to respect the wishes of the deceased. That's the best option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like unaangalia all of these options asema what's the best option? Let's respect the wishes of the deceased. So we decide not to cremate. Now, what people don't understand about cremation is that people the sanitized version. Oh, sijui unaenda pale, sijui unaenda kwa crematorium, the body sijui taking like a thing there, you don't see what's happening. Chief. Then those kind of crematoriums are not in Uganda. Uganda kutaka kufanya crematorium unaenda kwa Wahindi, a Hindu temple. And how do Indians cremate? Open pyre.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good thing my mama was not there for that, because in a way it worked out well. Because
Yes,
I don't think that would have really messed her up, you know. But then I've learned to never underestimate the power of some of the strength of some of these women. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's not in the way we think it is.
Yeah.
You know, because we always assume it's like we communicate our vulnerability, like we're so scared, but I said the mothers are much stronger than, you know, they've seen a lot, you know. So after so open pyre, you know, like, you know, literally, and you're the guy who has to light that damn thing up, you know, open pyre, you know, and so you have to stay with it. So after the cremation, I knew the most important thing was this. So and it's funny now that I can say it so clearly, but then I was just operating from instinct. I knew that the most important thing was this: is that ritual.
Yes.
Ritual. We must follow ritual because there's a point to this death rituals. Huh?
Yes.
So I said, yeah, okay, there's no body, but mother, we're going to do ritual. So me maze ukiona hiyo cremation box bana, like that thing is maze, it's humbling. Yani you're reduced to a box that's about this size. Naika kwa backpack, but that's same backpack. Ilikuwa kwa backpack hiyo, yani na fit too proper, you know, naika hapo tu backpack. So mimi mwenyewe na drive. Na ni gari yake, by the way. And the reason she bought that car was that alikuwa anasema maze one time maze nataka akimaliza na Uganda drive to across arudi kwa mother nini. That was the whole point. So I'm telling her maze, hey, this is your last trip back home. You know, yuko hapo kwa passenger seat. Nilipofika home nikapata maze everybody's waiting. Everybody's waiting. And now this is more emotional. You know reality. Maze mayoye nini nduru nini pa. And then even more painful is that hakuna mwili.
Yes.
So now people are seeing me and they're seeing Nyangi, and it's even now more double. So yani I've been through many emotional moments, and that was even when I was trying to speak. Nilikuwa na break. Najaribu ku recount your story na break. Jikolo sasa tumezingira kila mtu iko kwa nyumba sasa. Na ka down, everybody wants to say what happened. What happened? You know, na wanataka kujua size. Mother yuko hapo, amesarandiwa na masista wake. What happened? So najaribu sana anza ku explain his story. And what is interesting, because the emotion was so heavy, nilikuwa na break every 10 minutes na break. And then wasikia my mother wanaanza tu kuimba. Wanaanza kuimba. Ukirecover, unaendelea na story. So then we realized the only way we can resolve this problem is to give a full ritual. Sa tukaanza tu na what we always do. Tukaanza na memorial Nairobi, you know, tuketisha watu. We did just a number of memorials. The only difference is there was no coffin.
Yeah.
And then tukaenda Ocha, tukafanya the same thing. Tukachimba kaburi. The difference is that it's not too big. You know, it's not 6 because it's just a Nini. It's just a small hole. Yeah. Tuketisha priest. And we did the whole thing. And so what saved us was that even after she had been cremated, we still had like 10 days of mourning rituals. And that's what made it feel better. Okay. So there was a sense of closure. Yeah, that's what saved us. Yeah. And then the other thing that actually helped us was that my own mother, Auntie Wangu, the sister Buddha, the older sister,
yes,
alikuwa ameishia majuu kitambo zile enzi, alikuwa anaitwa Auntie Flora, in the 60s. Flora alipodai, aliinsist lazima kuwa cremated. Sa ilibidi familia, this was the first time it happened in the family. Because typically, ukiwa majuu, yes, tunakutransport. That's what we always did. Lakini Flora aliinsist, maze mimi I want to be cremated. You know, that's my wish. Na Flora alikuwa kama matriarch.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there was no arguing against it. There was no, you know, she was just, and then ilikuwa zile za everything has been covered. Just majuni maze kuna nika kuna insurance to include all this. Everything is covered. So kuna hamuna expense.
Yes.
So that was the first time the whole family, I mean my representative, walienda Europe. So she was the first cremation she had witnessed. So alikuwa na awareness kidogo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's what helped. Yeah.
Damn, okay. And of course, tukimalizia, if you go back to vile nilikuwa nasema, the book is sad. It's also very funny.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part kuandika? Because I'm sure sometimes you can write and it's too sad.
Yeah.
You're like, let me just continue when I've composed myself.
Yeah. The sisters was the hardest because as you saw with the scene, it's hard to describe that. My brothers was hard. It's hard to expose that. You know what I mean? Because unataka tu maze tunaiki to culture of silence.
Yes.
Let's just not talk about it. You know, like we just won't bring it up. You know, like so how did the brother die? You know, aligonjeka tu. How did the sister die? She just collapsed. But how? You know what I mean? So those two were the hardest to write. And then also because I was very close to them.
Yeah. Okay. The funniest ama most joyful memories ile ukiandika it's still sad but at least you put a smile on your face.
It's literally it's funny when I think about it. It's just them, you know, like family and my siblings.
Okay.
The funny thing is that we lived full lives, full. You know, like it's like we almost knew. That's why I kind of encourage people, but don't waste time, especially if you have people like you actually love.
Yeah.
Usipiga ma rehearsals na life maze tukipata do ndio tutaanza you know. So we have gone through all of those waves, you know, and with all of them, as I was writing their stories, I was remembering incidents, you know. Sistangu, because alinifundisha confidence. Nakumbuka once, you know, like I've got so many different stories, but one of them is that nilipokuwa nini, nilikuwa tafuta hao, you know, nilikuwa tafuta hao and then tulikuwa tembea State House. Just, you know, karibu na Milimani Hotel.
Yes.
And then nilikuwa nasema, hey, mazizi apartments ni poa, mazizi, I wish I could stay in a place like this. And then my sister says, let's just check them out. Tukaingia kwa gate, tukatafuta caretaker, akanambia mazizi, let's check out that. Can we check out that house? So I check out the house. We liked it. And she said, you like this house? I says, yeah. She says, I think we should take it. And I'm like, but I don't have any money. Do you want to 3 months deposit? My sister got convinced, wakachukua 1 month deposit. Next month I moved into the house. Now she had this ile confidence yani kijako sema uteku. You know, like there's nothing fear. She's not afraid of anything, you know. So she really, Yani she taught me how to stand for myself. Kulikuwa na ile uoga ya Ukenya saa zingine. You don't belong here, nini. Alimalizia nonsense kitambo sana. You know, so she really opened my eyes. My finesse, my wine. What is the difference? You know, the essence. When I drink 2 bila sababu, lakini you know what the whole culture thing is. You know, yet at the same time alikuwa na balance. Alikuwa mtu ametembea nini, but alikuwa mjaka. She was a proper Luo woman. You know, so she had that balance. So it also helped me. It gave me a good mirror.
Yeah,
you know, and so I'm reliving the memories. So the whole point of writing the book was to literally celebrate them.
Yes.
And I think the most relieving point in Nilipomaliza story, Nilipomaliza her story, because her story was a culmination. That's why I put it at the end. I knew my job was done. Like I knew, okay, you know, on 2 fronts. One is that I've honored my people. I've honored her life, because, you know, I was fighting for her memory, because you're such an influential person. That's why sometimes I see guys, this man of your nonsense, I'm saying, man, you guys really don't get it. You know what I mean? It's a village. It takes a village to become a man.
Yes.
You know? Yes, we say, oh, only a man can understand a man. Yeah, we get that. You know, but it takes a village. You know, even children, you know, make you, you know, like you become a different man when you have children. You know what I mean? And your kids are the ones who make you grow up. You know, so in a way, for me, it was just to celebrate and tell people, but you know, there's no single story in this life. You know, and hopefully, as I'm finding out, equal a mirror for other people. So other people, you know, like by reading my story, the same way will they react at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
As in, okay, this is also my story. Because I really believe we're not unique in that way.
Yes.
But at the same time, our circumstances are unique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because I think ikikam to vile umebonga the manosphere, that's one of the things that I always tell people, that my experience is not necessarily your experience. So when we treat these things like very blanket statements, like marriage is wrong for everyone. No, they are for people who that works. There are people who it doesn't work. Watoi, kuna watu ina work, watu wengine haiwork. Kuna watu like your love, they'll meet a girl and they stay pamoja forever. Ingine it's the man betrays the woman, others the woman betrays the man. So but ukisikiza the manosphere, it's like it's only women who do the wrong thing. Men are always right, and it's just ridiculous.
That's reductionism.
Alafu so tukimalizia pia story ya grief, I think maybe this is something that sikuelewa. When I look at the book and when I'm reading the book and I hear you talking about Nyangi, I felt like you mourned her. But now baadaye you talk about like still feeling like you'd not mourned her enough ukiwa Netherlands. Why do you feel that? Because me gonna feel like even that journey of you driving home, I'm assuming at some moment utalia, then you continue with the journey. Then why do you feel like you didn't, how could get your grief out?
In a way, and this is a really umeguza point kali sana hapo. What I learned, you know, what I learned is that ulishasikia hii language ya closure na healing.
Yes.
You know, it's we always talk about it wrongly. Tunatafuta closure, najaribu kuheal.
Yeah.
That's what I always assumed, you know, because that's, and through all of the other films, that's what I always assumed, you know. But this writing process forced me to realize ata ya Buddha bado na grief.
Yes.
And this is a guy who died in 89. So I would think by now, okay, sio story imeisha mazeti, Nini, it's been how many years, you know. I realized then grief never ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ni basically in cycle. The waves might be different, you know, but just in the same way, saizi ulikuwa naambia story ya Nini, ulikuwa naambia story ya twin sisters.
Yes.
Me can it trigger. Yeah. Already, because it triggered something else, because I remembered a nephew of mine who amba alipoteza twins just at about the same age when I described. You know, the first one 3 months, another one not as old, another one like 9 months later. You know, it can trigger. So in a way, grief never ends. We just learn to live with it. And that's what I'm trying to pass on in this. So this idea about kuihepa, that's why nasema hii lazima to embrace sorrow, because sorrow is where the strength is. You know, stop running away from it thinking that when I shut down ama nikitu na timeline that is size maze Africa, how long is it maze is she it's been enough maze by now we should stop mourning. Why are you still crying about her father all these years? No, it never ends, because and then the way I came to understand it was kausha love mutu, like, and not this romantic love of these days, but like, like really cherish somebody.
Yeah.
It never goes anywhere. It still stays there. And then more importantly, ukiwa sasa now real kiafrika, they're still there, wako accessible. So mtu kama mimi, I believe yani in the real universe, I'm like, I know my people watching me. I know my people. The reason I can speak like this is because of them. It's like they're the ones who empower me. So I've gotten over the idea that no, they're still here with me, but in a different form. So I still walk with family. That's why it's so important to acknowledge the those that have gone. So I don't think of grief as kitu in a timeline.
Okay.
It just continues with you throughout your life. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so the book is called Strength and Sorrow, Reflections on the Ones We Lost. And vile tumesema, like, let's remind people where it's available.
Yeah, it's available in all bookshops in Nairobi. So I said Nuria, Bookstop, Yaya, all the TBC branches, Textbook Center, Half Price Books, Somanami, which is in Ngara. And then at the same time na Nyali, kuna Nuria Nyali na kuna LD Kisumu iko pale TBC na Lolwe Books. Pia unaweza order directly from the website www.oyungapala.com. And then very soon tutaweka Amazon, so the guys ambao mko far kidogo mnaweza get.
Okay. Alafu nitataka unietography hii kitabu. It goes and this vile niliambia watu like I'm not the sort of person wa kusifu vitabu, but this book
thanks for the review though.
I really loved it, and I think I could relate to so much, because I think, and this everyone can relate to this, because death is a reality, and just facing our mortality and seeing people that we've lost. Like I lost my big brother. How many? Right now it's 3.5 years.
Yeah, that's still raw.
And it's even sad because now, like, my nephew, the one who edits the show, that was his dad. Understand? And I always feel like my brother's death is what made me now understand my nephew. Yes. Understand? Like zile where now death ends up bringing you closer. To. So this book was really powerful, and the fact that I also read it while I was going to DJ Zach's dad's funeral, all those things, it's such a powerful book. Hii ni ya kila mtu. Hii si ati unapenda fiction ama unapenda what. It's just life. This is about life. There's a rapper who says that the only when I question death, the only answer is life, and the fact that
that's a beautiful reflection.
Yes, I think I've also had the scientist anaitwa Neil deGrasse Tyson says we only die because we got to live, so kama hukuishi hautakufa, but kuishi pia it's so beautiful, so naendelea kungangana. So asante sana.
Shukran sana. I'm a privilege bana. Kuna nefu wangu moja, mtoi wa T, anaitwa Nigel. Wakafan wako mbaya. Wakafan wako mbaya. Nakuja iko nini mazio, just like potea mwafu, so
kasha isikia kibangajua ulikuwa natuambia tu Nyangi.
Ende naambia hiyo story.
Back in the days. Yes. Okelo ulaiko nini? Yo ndio naijuzi.
Okelo nika mtoi wa Kazo.
Okay. Because but ni wasiwa nguvu sana. So shukran bana. Imekuwa ni episode 536. Kama kawaida tukisema like, subscribe, hit the notification button, tell a friend. Tukimalizia tukisema Eko Nene.